South Boston is it's similar to the track at Hickory Speedway and Orange County Speedway and some of the shorter 3/8 mile tracks. It's just a big dish bowl, if you ask me.
Well, it's a pretty high bank, pretty much round track. Don't have a lot of straightaways in.
I enjoy racing on these tight, slick racetracks.
Either one of the corners are pretty fast, and it's a quick little racetrack, and things happen in a hurry.
You need to be real smooth on it and consistent.
It's a tight racetrack, but you can still pass cars there.
Our series has got so competitive, it's just hard to jump on the outside of somebody and really go around and pass them.
Well, I'm looking forward to going there.
The South Boston Speedway has had a long and distinguished history since it opened 34 years ago. It started as a 1/3 mile dirt facility in 1957. 5 years later, the track was expanded to its current length and paved. And in just a few minutes, 30 drivers will test her in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Allen. Thanks for joining us for TNN's live coverage of the 10th stop of the Busch Grand National Series. We're heading into the heart of the schedule, and if there is any one race that is going to be completely wide open, it is this affair today. That's because of a major change that was made on this track less than 6 weeks ago. Here with that story is my telecast colleague, Mark Garrow.
Back at the end of March, this track was resurfaced. The 3rd mile track that has always been very difficult has become even tougher for the race drivers. It means higher speeds, it means higher G-forces, and Glenn Jarrett is a former Grand National Series competitor. With higher speeds and those higher G-forces, it will be a very tough day at the office.
Well, that's exactly right, Mark. This place has always been extremely demanding physically on a driver because the corner speeds are so great. And now with the new surface being green, the cars will stick more and run through the turns even faster than they did before. The guys out there today are really going to have to earn their money. I'm glad I'm up here instead of out there.
Last week, with David Green becoming the first rookie driver since 1989 to win a race, and the 2 drivers behind him also being rookie drivers, we didn't necessarily see a changing of the guard, but we did see perhaps a glimpse of the future. We may see more of that this afternoon. A newly resurfaced racetrack means everybody's on equal footing.
Well, that's right also, Mark. It used to be when you came here at South Boston, it was very difficult for a newcomer or a rookie or a beginner to end up in victory lane here. But now I don't think that's going to be the case today. As you said, the changing of the guard has started. There's a lot of new, fresh talent out there. And the old experience that the guys had here before on the old surface is gone. It's all new now. Everybody's starting out from the same point, and it wouldn't surprise me to see those guys continue, as they started last week, to continue their march to the front.
All right, down on pit road now is Bill Hennessy. He's standing by with the driver. He's not necessarily a rookie, but he's still a newcomer and a good one here on the Grand National Series. Here's our pole sitter, Steve Grissom.
Here at South Boston, Virginia, Steve Grissom. Steve, it may be a very strenuous race this afternoon. They've extended the length of the race from 200 laps to 300 laps. Can your neck stand up to all the pressure?
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill, that's what this neck brace is installed here for. South Boston, we're always in a turn here, and it's hard enough to get by with 200 laps, but now we're going 300 laps. I tell you, it's going to be tough.
Starting on the pole, can you hold the rest of these competitors at bay this afternoon? And what about the track conditions?
Well, I'll tell you, the Roddenberry Oldsmobile's been doing a super good job today practicing. It's just kind of now whether we guess right for the race or not. And it is a 300-lap race. We can pit, so we've guessed, and hopefully we guessed the right direction. And, if not, we come in and stop and adjust the car. And I tell you, the people here at South Boston done a good job paving the racetrack. It's a nice, smooth finish. I just think the heat today and this many cars on the racetrack, it's going to be interesting.
Today's telecast of the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300 is brought to you by New Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Eagle One Car Care Products. Eagle One is visual perfection. By Champion Batteries, when you can't wait to get started. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste, so get out of the old, get into the cold. By Wagner, power painting that's not just a whole lot faster, but a whole lot better. And by Carquest Auto Parts Stores. You'll find it at Carquest.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one, but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with the Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now from these fine stores.
She may not care that visual perfection took years to develop. She may not care that visual perfection, state-of-the-art technology, produces an unsurpassed, deep, rich, brilliant color. Well, maybe she does. Visual perfection from Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
Cold filtered, Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
The race preceding this one was a history-making affair down in Gainesville, Georgia. Let's look back for a moment at the Haviland Racing Updates. The start of the Nestle 200 was delayed for nearly 4 hours by rain. When the track was finally dried, Robert Presley and Kenny Wallace led the field to the green flag, with Presley taking the early lead. Before the halfway mark, David Green, who had started 9th, caught Presley and moved into the top spot on lap 90. He was hoping for no yellows, but that's just what happened when Ward Burton and Jack Ingram got together coming out of turn 4. Green somehow managed to slip through without a mark in his Oldsmobile. Lonnie Rush brought out the final caution when he suffered his second wreck of the night. After the restart, Green still led as the battle for second between Mike Wallace and Jeff Gordon heated up, with Gordon eventually getting the upper hand. No one was able to catch Green, and the rookie went on to score his first Grand National victory ever. Rookies also took the next 2 positions, with Gordon in second and Wallace third. Rounding out the top 5 were early leader Presley and Chuck Bound. After the Nestle 200, Kenny Wallace, who finished 19th, still leads the Grand National standings, but by only 5 points over Bobby Labonte. Steady Jimmy Hensley is third, Todd Bodine fourth, and Joe Nemechek rounds out the top 5. And now let's go trackside for the words that will get today's activities underway. It will come from Carquest's Mike Young.
Familiar command in motorsports racing. To give it, the owner of 2 Carquest Auto Parts stores, Mr. Mike Young. Drivers, start your engine!
And with the command of fire engines, 30 machines roar to life here on this small speedway, one that we've talked about already, that is most physically demanding. Robert Presley, last weekend's pole winner down at Gainesville, Georgia. Butch Miller, the winner at Hickory. Bobby Donner, the Chicago, Illinois driver, had a good qualifying run. Kenny Wallace, the Busch Grand National points leader, entering this race, but by the slimmest of margins, only 5 over Bobby Labonte.
Kenny Wallace started out the year very quick, as we see a picture of Jeff Burton in his Armour Chevrolet. He started out the season, all first 5 races, top 10, 4 top 5. His average finished 3.8, but Kenny Wallace slumping just a little bit now, averaging 15.2 over the last 4 races. He's still got the lead, and he's still valiantly trying to hold on, as we see the field now beginning to rumble, coming up to speed, and quickly they'll be lining up 2 by 2, getting ready to start the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 200.
And qualified. Steve Grissom, his first pole of the season. Chuck Bound, the defending race champion, alongside on the first row. In the second row, Dave Resendiz, an excellent qualifying effort, and Robert Presley from Asheville, North Carolina. Third row, Butch Miller, one of the 9 Hoosier-mounted drivers, and Bobby Dotter from Chicago, Illinois. The fourth row will be occupied by Troy Beebe from Modesto, California, and Kenny Wallace, a native of St. Louis, Missouri. The fifth row, Jeff Burton, the local favorite here, and rookie Richard Lassiter.
In row number 6, it'll be Ward Burton and Ed Ferree. Row 7 on the inside, Todd Bodine. Beside him, Cecil Eunice. In row number 8, it is going to be Jim Bound on the inside, David Green to his right. Of course, Green, the winner last week in Gainesville, Georgia. Row number 9, Mike Wallace and Ed Barrier. In row number 10, Jimmy Hensley and Joe Nemechek, the car currently 5th in the Grand National Series point standings.
Row 11, a 3-time winner here, Tommy Houston and Mike Oliver from Huntersville, Alabama. The 12th row occupied by the all-time winningest driver here at the track, Jack Ingram and Bobby Labonte. Rookie Jeff Gordon starts in the 13th row, along with McConnellsburg, Pennsylvania's Tom Peck. In the 14th row, it's Gary Neese and Bobby Moon making a rare Grand National start. Row 15, the provisional positions, Elton Sawyer and rookie Tracy Leslie.
The track, 3.57 miles in length, about a third of a mile. The banking, 18 degrees on the straightaways, basically flat, about 10 degrees. The front stretch, 500 feet. The back stretch, 500 feet in length. And Glenn Jarrett, as you mentioned earlier, you're constantly turning, and as you can see, that's just what we'll have in these racetracks. The temperature, 76 degrees, partly cloudy, a slight breeze, about 6 miles per hour, humidity 50%, and we have just a slight chance for rain at 20% here this afternoon in South Boston, Virginia.
And there's the makeup of the starting field. Oldsmobiles once again the predominant make here, with Buicks starting 8 cars. The Chevrolets will have 5, Pontiacs 4, and there is the one lone Ford in the field of Jeff Gordon. We're about a half a lap away from going green here on the 357 mile speedway. A quick comment from you, Glenn Jarrett.
Well, conditions are optimum for a race today. However, with this racetrack being newly paved, it is not completely cured yet. There is a problem with the pavement coming up down in turns 1 and 2. We're going to keep a close watch on that. Steve Griffin had momentary heart stoppage there as the cars pulled out. His car stalled. He is back up front now, and we're getting ready to take the green flag.
The honorary starter is Rob Weigel of Carquest. He has the flag in hand. The green is out, and we are underway in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
You can see Steve Grissom wastes little time in putting that number 31 car up front. He's put about 2 car lengths already on second place, Chuck Bound.
In the third position is Dave Resendiz. Fourth is Robert Presley. Fifth in the Speedway, Butch Miller. Sixth, Kenny Wallace. Seventh, Bobby Dotter. Then it's Troy Beebe and the Jeff Burton machine. Pretty much as they qualified, as the field so far has sorted itself out cleanly here in the opening moments of this afternoon's contest.
Mark, I think one reason for that is everybody was extremely concerned about track conditions. As they went out to qualify, the track got extremely slick in the afternoon heat. With the cars were very loose getting into and coming off the corners. I think everybody's going to feel the track out for a while and kind of set themselves in just to see how much hotter the track has gotten and what it has done to the handling characteristics of each of them's cars.
In fact, the entire field is now pretty much single file, except way back in the field in the 20th position as Ed Barrier and Jack Ingram are side by side. But the battle up front really isn't one at the moment. As Steve Grissom, who tested extensively here, is showing some of the benefits of that so far. A driver who is really in need of a victory this year after picking up 4 last season. Chuck Bound closing in on him. He is the defending race champion here. In the third position, Dave Resendiz. Fourth is still Robert Presley, as those lead 4 cars have begun to pull away just a little bit from the field.
Chuck Bound also tested here at South Boston with limited practice time today because of the potential for track problems and the fact that they didn't let the cars practice, Glenn, a lot of the time on the bottom of the racetrack, fearing that it would tear up quick enough in the race. They didn't let them practice there, so the guys who practiced here prior to this race certainly had some sort of edge.
Well, that's correct, Mark. You know, that's one of the most unusual things I've ever seen in a NASCAR Busch Grand National races. They took pylons and blocked off the lower lane during practice, just simply wouldn't let the cars down there because of the big concern about the asphalt tearing up in turns 1 and 2. I took the opportunity after practice to walk down there and take a look at the track myself. I think after 40, 50 laps, you're going to see a big major problem with the asphalt down in turns 1 and 2, and also 3 and 4, but it's worst in 1 and 2.
Steve Grissom is a driver who picked up a sponsor. A long sponsorship search came to a successful end at Darlington, but ever since then, he's had a share of difficulties having strong finishes, and he has his hands full right now with Chuck Bound, who has closed on his rear deck lid. That's the battle between Tom Peck in the 96 car and Ed Barrier. That is well back in the pack. Those were drivers who were trying to get in single file order. That's the battle for the 20th position on the Speedway. Tom Peck is one driver who could use sponsorship, but meanwhile, back up front, we see that Steve Grissom is successfully holding off Chuck Bound, but the question is how much longer as Bound sticks his nose underneath.
Grissom could really use a good run today. He's finished 2 races in the top 10, but his last 4 races since he got the new sponsor, 18th, 37th, 28th, and 26th. He needs to make something happen today. Steve Grissom won 4 races last year, including the season finale at Marcusville. He came into the season on a high note and has really got off to a very frustrating start. And right now, he is just being pounded at the back door by Chuck Bound.
Yeah, Bound's putting a lot of pressure on him, and that's obvious. You're looking at some of the cars back in the pack. A car that's having some trouble right now. There's Robert Presley in car number 59. We've made note he'll come into camera pretty soon here. Car number 1, Jeff Gordon, who finished 2nd last week, has already fallen off the pace, and the leader, Steve Grissom, is moving up on him. Is going to put a lap on him very, very soon. Very disappointing start, I'm sure, for car number 1.
And moments ago, Robert Presley passed Dave Resendiz for the 3rd position on the Speedway. We'll watch to see if he can close it anymore. An interesting note on this track is the absolute absence of any apron whatsoever. As you see, Jeff Gordon in the number 1 car, and the 28 is Mike Oliver, and you can see the spread now between cars that are about to be lapped and our race leader, Steve Grissom. And Glenn, there is really no apron here. What does that do about a driver's margin for error?
Well, it cuts it down by an extreme amount, Mark, because the cars, you can see them running right down on the bottom of the yellow line there, and we got a car going up a little high in turn number 1, but he's back in shape. But what that does is it eliminates any margin for error, and it also makes passing on this racetrack extremely tough. When you run on the very bottom of the racetrack like that, the groove is down there, the debris and grit and stuff gets pushed up in the middle of the racetrack, and when you have to pass a guy on the outside, it's extremely difficult to do.
And the car that had trouble was the 00 of Gary Deese. He spun in qualifying and was lucky to get into the field. They are now ready to encounter lap traffic. That is Mike Oliver, the Alabama driver. And this is something we'll be watching closely throughout this contest. This is short track racing at its best. We'll be back with more action from the Carquest Auto Parts Store 300 in a moment.
This is where it happened. The breakthrough in urethane chemistry that created a car polish so technologically advanced, one application lasts an entire year. Introducing Finish 2001, the car polish you use only once every 12 months. This old car's been badly neglected. Its finish appears destroyed. With no rubbing, no buffing, Finish 2001 with its urethane formula safely brings back the showroom shine, a rich, deep gloss shine that lasts an entire year. We tested Finish 2001 against other leading polishes, even some that claim to protect your car against fire or against acid. And the test results? Nothing, but nothing protects or shines better than Finish 2001, the 12-month car polish with a 100% money-back guarantee.
Competition? Yeah, we got a bunch. But we've been in business for 76 years, and we intend to be in business for at least 76 more. If that means change, we change. We have even increased our commitment to service. Today, every single Rosie Store associate is personally rewarded for providing you great service. Take a new look. Give them a try. We are all totally committed to doing whatever it takes to satisfy you. That's a promise.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
We're back here at South Boston, and we're under yellow for the first time on lap 28 for a spin in the front stretch by Richard Lassiter, one of the rookie contenders. And here it is once again. You can see in the left corner of your screen coming off turn 4, Glenn just lost control.
Yeah, he just got in the marbles there a little bit, Mark, and the car just, the back end just came right around on him. That's a very a bad break for Lassiter, but a very good break for Jeff Gordon. As we commented, Steve Grissom, the leader, was just about to put a lap on him, and he was running right in front of that 05 car. So that did enable Gordon to stay in the same lap, and now he's pulled back up. He seemed to pick up the pace just a little bit, but he had the problems there, and now he's back in the lead lap.
Just before that caution flag, Robert Presley, we noted that there was some smoke coming out from underneath that Oldsmobile. He was black flagged, and they're on pit road now making some repairs to that race car. Bad break. He was running third, and now certainly has taken himself out of contention.
And we'll be going back to green flag action in one lap, and something that, Glenn, you mentioned before the broadcast, but please call attention to it right now. What happens on the Speedway when there are no lapped cars and how they get strung out?
Well, as we can see the overview now, you see the pace car is at the middle of the backstretch. The car that is at the back of the pack is just now coming off the 4th turn. So when the cars are strung out all the way around this racetrack, you are 2/3 to 3/4 of a lap behind already. There has been no lapping, so the cars have to stay single file. It gets you behind in a hurry.
And Jeff Gordon came on to pit road just moments ago for service as the green flag is back out with Steve Grissom in the lead. Second place is Chuck Bound. Third, Dave Resendiz. Then it's Kenny Wallace, Butch Miller, Bobby Donner, Troy Beebe having a good run so far, Jeff Burton, Jim Bound, Ed Faree, Todd Bodine. Those are your top 10 cars.
Just prior to that caution flag, Chuck Bound had got together with the lap car of Mike Oliver, lost an awful lot of ground to Steve Grissom. It was hard to tell if Grissom had picked up a lot and was able to pull away from Bound, or if that lap car had just allowed Bound to drop back for a while and he was going to come on strong. So we'll get a better picture right now, Glenn, just what Chuck Bound has for Steve Grissom.
Well,
and there's a spin down the backstretch. Mike Oliver, who was holding up the race leader, apparent contact between those two cars, and we are back under caution for the second time on lap 33. And that is not the first time that we've seen Mr. Oliver right around the race leaders.
Yeah, he was definitely in the way there, and Grissom gave him a little nudge to get him out of the way.
We'll be back with more action here where it's getting wild and woolly in South Boston, Virginia.
When Acura asked if we would design a new tire for the extraordinary NSX, we responded very quickly. Yokohama, where Acura turned for ultra-high performance.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with a Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now from these fine stores.
If only your tires could talk.
It's so tiring. He babies the car, then abuses me with messy vinyl cleaner. Hey, I'm rubber. No-touch tire care. Ooh, nice foam.
Introducing No Touch Tire Care, the first product to clean, shine, and protect tires in one easy step. No scrubbing, no dirty rags, no mess.
Yeah, clean and shiny. Oh, no, bad doggy. Go away.
Treat your tires right with new No Touch Tire Care.
You take me back to that feeling. No matter what you drive, you'll get unbeatable performance with Champion spark plugs. Champions fit all auto makes. So get your engine running its best year-round. For sure starts and protection, be sure to go with Champion. Available at your nearby Carquest Auto Parts store. And Carquest keeps us rolling down the road.
Well, Here's your leaderboard after 39 laps. Steve Grissom, Chuck Bound, Kenny Wallace, Butch Miller, and Bobby Dotter. And the cars are not at speed because we are under caution again for the third time. Before we show you what happened, let's go down to pit road and Bill Hennessy.
Question about Chuck Bound's car. His car may be knocked out of toe-in on the front end due to that encounter with slow traffic in the earlier portion of the race. Right now, here's Ricky Pearson. Ricky, 59 car, spent a lot of time on the pit lane here. What's wrong with Robert Presley?
I believe the rear seal was leaking in the transmission. Blowing grease down on the tailpipe, and there's smoke and it's going all through there.
Looks like you may have just had a temporary repairs, but trying to put some silicone in it.
Well, we tried to stop it any way we can.
Well, this man's back out there hoping for a good finish.
We'll be going back to green in less than a lap as Mike Harwood's telling the field to form back up. The reason for that latest caution, caution number 3 on lap 39, was for a spin in turn 1 by Jeff Gordon, a rookie driver who had a great run last week at Lanier, Georgia, at the new Lanier Speedway in Gainesville, Georgia, second place. He's back at the tail end of the field, as at the front of the field, Steve Grissom continues to be our race leader, as he has been from the drop of the green, and Chuck Bound, as he has the entire event so far, pounding his rear bumper.
Yeah, Bound's putting a lot of pressure on him right now. He had fallen back before that first caution period, but I believe he had an encounter with some slower traffic that knocked him back there. Grissom was able to pull away to about a 20-car length lead, but right now, Chuck Bound's giving him all he wants.
On the most recent restart, the one before this, Dave Resendiz was sitting up there in the 4th position, but he has had some trouble. He is dropping well back in the field. We'll see if we can't get a report for you on that, but look who has closed in now. Kenny Wallace is making it a 3-car battle up front. Busch Grand National points leader, the 3rd place car, car number 36, that's the black and green machine. Your leader in that cream-colored car, car number 31, Steve Grissom.
Wallace had an amazing string earlier this year. He had 4 races in which he didn't finish out of the top 3, including a big victory that you saw here on TNN at Volusia County. Right now, he's hanging in there right on the back bumper of Chuck Bound, who's steaming up the rear view mirror of Steve Grissom. That's a tight 3-car pack, and they've broken away by some 10 car lengths over the 4th place car of Butch Miller.
Mark, it's interesting to watch the technique that the drivers are using, particularly that front 3. Steve Grissom's car is getting off the corner a little bit better than Chuck Bound's. Chuck's getting into the corners a little better, so Steve's car looks to be just a tiny bit loose getting in. It'll be interesting to watch him as the race progresses, the tire temperatures continue to heat up, to see if he can keep that thing stable, keep it out front.
Sitting back there in the 4th position is Butch Miller, then it's Bobby Dotter, Troy Beebe, Jeff Burton, Todd Bodine, Ed Ferree, and trouble on the front stretch, but nothing to bring out a caution as Richard Lassiter was involved. And Glenn, I think you had a good angle on that.
Lassiter got loose and hit the outside wall, and he's got white chalk marks or white paint marks all the way down the right side of his car, which is considerably flatter now than it was before.
And the race leader will be encountering lap traffic here in just a moment. Some of the cars that are running slow, the car he's about to come up on is Jeff Gordon, the rookie contender.
Gordon just popped the wall in turn 4, did exactly the same thing as Richard Lassiter. That will definitely, finally, will get him down a lap. It will cost him any shot at winning this afternoon.
Well, absolutely. Now, as you're talking, Mark, he has to pull the number 1 Ford onto pit road. He's had nothing but trouble since the start of this race, and he found out real early here in South Boston that if you get out of that bottom groove, you're going to meet with the wall real quickly.
And notice coming off turn 4, Glenn, how loose the race leaders' cars are, and those are the cars that are handling well.
Yeah, they're the ones that are up front now, and they've got their hands full. I tell you, 300 laps around this place in the dead of the afternoon under a very warm May sun is not the ideal way to run a race. It's bad enough to run 200 laps here. 300 laps in this heat, there's going to be a lot of action before this day's over.
There's Chuck Bound still trying to hold off Kenny Wallace. That's a great battle. Wallace, the current point leader, Bound, the defending champion. As they go at it, working out of turn 4, Grissom has started to sneak away a little bit again.
Yeah, this is what happened last time that they ran for 15 or so laps under green without a caution. Grissom's car was able to build up a lead, and he started doing that again. His car seems to be working in traffic, and now you see him going around car number 28. He gets sideways. If you get the slightest little bit out of the groove here, there's so much dirt and debris up in the outer lanes that the car just simply goes away from you. You have no control whatsoever.
On the driver car number 28 is Mike Oliver, whom we've documented before, who's having all kinds of trouble both with the race leaders and the racetrack itself.
Steve Grissom just popped the back end of the Richard Lassiter car. That car severe damage now to the left front. Whether that is just cosmetic or whether that is going to be a bigger problem for him, we'll have to wait and see. And in that scramble, Kenny Wallace takes over the second spot. Chuck Bound is dropped to third.
Yeah, there's considerable damage. You can see the damage to the right front of Grissom's car when he comes back around and crossing the start-finish line. Our camera view will give you a good point of it. It looks like the bumper has been torn about half away, so have to keep a close watch on that.
But as we watch it go by, we're looking to see if there's any sheet metal rub on that right front tire, and we don't detect any at this point. The margin between the front three cars back to the second pack is almost 4 seconds, and it's getting bigger. We'll be back with more action from South Boston in just a moment.
From our nation's capital to scenic, peaceful shores, wherever the fish are biting, you'll find the champ.
Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine, brought to you by Delco Voyager Marine Batteries. 1:30 Eastern Sports Sunday.
Homeowners, if you're tired of ordinary mowers that blow clippings everywhere and clumsy bagging mowers that need constant emptying, here's great news. It's the breakthrough mulching mower from Troy-Bilt, a revolutionary new kind of mower that ends bagging and raking forever. The Troy-Bilt mulcher has no discharge chute to spray clippings, no awkward bag to fill up and clog with grass. In fact, the mulching mower doesn't leave clippings at all. Whether you're cutting your lawn or mulching a blanket of fall leaves, the revolutionary blade and deck design vacuums clippings up to be cut and recut into tiny nitrogen-rich particles. 100% natural free fertilizer that's recycled directly into your lawn. The results are remarkable. A beautiful, super healthy lawn with less time and less work than ever before. For full details on the revolutionary Troy-Bilt mulching mower, call toll-free 1-800-638-9898. We'll send you a free Troy-Bilt mulching mower catalog by return first-class mail. So call 1-800-638-9898 now.
Continuing coverage of the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300 on TNN is being brought to you by New Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Well, it seems that just about any time that we need a caution, all we have to do is go to commercial, because while we were in that ring, Tommy Houston popped the wall coming off turn 4. A pretty good look and a considerable amount of damage to the right side of his machine. They've already changed 2 tires.
Shades of Hickory, the last time we were on TNN for the Busch Grand National Series from Hickory Motor Speedway. Houston had a good run, and by race's end, though, the wheels had been literally knocked off that Rose's Buick, and he, I believe, lost a lap and has a lot of damage that certainly is going to affect the handling of that race car.
Yeah, that's a real tough break for Tommy, Mark, because he was coming on strong. He'd started kind of back in the pack. He and car number 11, Jack Ingram, had really marched toward the front, had worked their way up into top 10 positions, but his encounter with the wall has ended his chances to win here today, I believe.
So far, we've had 4 cautions, and we've completed just 64 laps. If you're wondering, just for the record, the most cautions ever in a Grand National race is 18. When we were at Hickory in our last race, we thought we had a real good chance of breaking that record. We got a long way to go here this afternoon, and this is something, frankly, we expected with the number of inexperienced drivers here and the hot afternoon here as we're back under green once again. And the stars on the race leader don't appear to be serious enough to cause him any problems. And now, as that second machine is Dave Resendiz, he is a lapped car. He is standing between the race leader and the second place car of Kenny Wallace. Third is Chuck Bound. The fourth place car is Tommy Houston, but he is a lap down. Actually, the fourth place machine is under the right foot of Butch Miller.
And Miller has run a steady race up to now. You see Grissom leading the pack off. The orange car there, number 79, is Resendez, or the red car is Resendez. He made a big, bold move there on that restart. He was a lap down in the outside lane. He dove right behind Grissom. I thought Kenny Wallace might tangle with him a little bit, but so far he's been able to pull away from Wallace.
He had made an unscheduled pit stop for tires. He may have fresher tires than Grissom. Maybe this would be good news for Kenny Wallace. Maybe Resendiz can get up there, maybe open up the lane for Kenny Wallace and Chuck Bound, as we see Tommy Houston now now, circulating around this third-mile racetrack. A lot of difficulties. He had come up to the front of the pack to try to get his lap back. We see some heavy smoke from that car.
He's in trouble.
Houston cuts loose, sliding up the racetrack, and makes almost contact with the concrete wall.
He did a tremendous job in saving that car. The right rear tire went down. There was smoke coming from the car. The fender that had damaged in the crash had cut the right rear tire. He didn't know it when he went in the corner of the car. Just simply spun out from under him.
And that was something you could see happen as we have trouble off of turn number 4 coming back to the caution. Ed Ferree is in the wall. There he is at the bottom of your screen, the orange and white car number 49. If Houston had not brought out the caution, Ferree certainly would have.
Here's Houston again as you see him working down the front straightaway, heading for turn number 1. As he started to make his set, he cuts the car to the left, and it simply breaks away.
Yeah, you can see the right rear tire blow out just as he went into the turn. That's the worst possible place that a tire can blow out for a driver, because you're on the ragged edge of control at that time.
Now, we were watching smoke from that car for about a lap and a half before that happened, so there was some indication of a sheet metal rub. And how tough is it for a driver to make the decision when to come in when he knows he has a problem like that?
Well, a lot of times, particularly when it's a rear fender, you can't tell just how much the tire is rubbing. You got to depend on the guys in the pits on the radios to tell you, hey, it's rubbing, you better watch out. One thing that we don't realize, when you see the outsides of these cars, they're all nice and smooth and contoured and everything. They look great when the race starts. But on the inside of that sheet metal, it's not quite so smooth. And sometimes there are weld seams and stuff where the car has been put together, and it's very easy when you bend one of those fenders in on a tire. You might have a sharp, jagged edge on the inside that you can't see that's going to cut the tire.
Pit road is becoming a busy place. You see Joe Nemechek, the 5th place point car, coming into this race, coming on and off pit road. Nemechek, a native of Florida. Houston has now made another visit. He comes back out onto the racetrack.
Now, we might mention, too, that because this is a new race surface, NASCAR has waived any penalties for changing tires under caution. It will be just like it was at Hickory, which was repaved earlier this year. The teams will be allowed to change 1 tire per corner on the car without penalty at any time during the event. And, of course, under green flag, they can change as many tires as they want, as often as they want.
Also, if they have a spin, they flat spot or cut tires down, they also get to change without penalty.
You look at Tommy Houston's season so far, gentlemen, and it is not exactly a model of consistency. He's had finishes as high as 2nd. He's had finishes as bad as 36th, and he is still 6th in the Grand National points.
It's been an up-and-down year for a lot of folks. Kenny Wallace came out red hot. He struggled. Then Bobby Labonte came on strong. Now he's just 5 points out. Jimmy Hensley has been a little bit up and down after his victory at Martinsville. So it hasn't been one of those years where we've seen a guy like Chuck Bound did in 1990, where he just went out there and put on a 15-race blitz that blew everybody away. So far, the drivers have been able to put together strings of 4 or 5 races, but haven't been able to string it through, from the first race to this current race in South Boston, Virginia. By the way, just before that final caution, Chuck Bound dipped underneath Kenny Wallace. He's now in the 2nd spot. Wallace is 3rd. Behind them, Butch Miller, Bobby Dotter, and the Troy Beebe machines. First 3 cars on Goodyears, next 3 cars on Hoosier tires.
The way the race started, there were 21 Goodyear shod drivers, 9 drivers on Hoosiers, as Bobby Labonte now tucks on the pit road, and he's got considerable sheet metal damage in the right front portion of your screen. You see them trying to pull it away. They're trying to get him back out immediately because we're less than a lap away from going back to green flag action. We've had 5 cautions, and we're just 75 laps into this event, and we expected an incident-filled event because it was a new race surface. There are a number of inexperienced drivers, and we haven't been disappointed so far, as Steve Grissom leads us back to green once again. And Dave Resendiz is working his hardest trying to get that lap back as Chuck Bound muscles his way underneath. Let's see if he can hold on to the spot and move cleanly into 2nd place without any lap traffic affecting him.
Yeah, he should get the spot. Well, you hear a little activity as we hear it here at the racetrack. That's exactly how they sound, folks.
Chuck Bound and Dave Resendiz really leaning on each other. Bound wanting to go after leader Steve Grissom. He can't do that until he gets somehow away from the Dave Resendiz machine, and Resendiz is hanging on strong on the outside groove.
That's very surprising to me, Mark, to see Resendiz being able to run that strongly in the outside groove, and he takes the position on the racetrack away from Bound. Remember, Resendiz is 1 lap down trying to get his lap back, but Bound wasn't able to do anything with him on the inside.
And you can't blame Dave Resendiz for trying to hold that position, because he has got to catch up to that car at the bottom of your screen, the cream-colored number 31 of Steve Grissom, as Cecil Eunice has spun coming off of turn 2, going down the back straightaway, and that will precipitate our 6th caution of the afternoon. Yellow fever here at South Boston.
Amazingly, we really haven't had a multi-car wreck. I mean, the drivers are running nose to tail, but most of our cautions, just about all of them, have been these slow, lazy spins coming out of turn number 2.
And we've got yellow on the Speedway. That's not a surprise. We'll go to a commercial while there's yellow here. They can't possibly have another one while we're there. We'll be back with more action from the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300 in just a minute.
I could spend all day here. Wouldn't leave much time to fish.
Don't you have enough lures?
You never have enough lures. Look at the price on this rod. Well, don't let that one get away. We need headlights. We need a car stereo.
They have really great sales here. Come to Kmart for Zebco Bullet Spin Cast Reels, the world's most castable. On sale.
Do I know where the deals are?
Deals, yes. Fish, no.
Cold filtering. It's our commitment to everyone who knows that draft beer is real beer. Pure beer. The best beer. It's how we make Miller Genuine Draft. And it's why so many people can enjoy a beer whose taste hasn't been changed by heat pasteurization. And why so many people are making a change of their own. Get out of the old and get into the cold.
Really hasn't changed very much from the start of the event. Steve Grissom is still our race leader, as he has been for all 84 laps, with Chuck Bound right behind him. Then it's Kenny Wallace. Those two have been shuffling that second spot, and you see the rest of the top 5 there with Butch Miller. Here's the reason for our latest caution.
And you can see the cars coming together there in turn number 2. You see Cecil Eunice in the yellow and the red car on the outside. He's hung out there, no place to go. Watch the car just slide out from under him there. He's in the marbles now. He has no control over the car. Slides up into the wall, and it continues to turn. Then he overcorrects, and it whips around with him. I tell you, those guys around him did a great, masterful job of missing him. There goes 75 Warburton.
Jimmy Hensley also did a good job sneaking by there. Hensley made an unscheduled pit stop a while back, looking to get back into contention.
And let's go quickly down to pit road and Bill Hennessy.
Pretty good, but it was so slick out there that the racetrack was coming up pretty bad. He said he thought they'd be racing on dirt before the day was over. We're going to try to keep that Roddenberry Oldsmobile out front. Well, there they go.
And once again, Steve Grissom does as he has done throughout the race. He tries to pull away, but as he has done through most of these restarts, Chuck Bound won't let him get very far off. Now, Dave Resendiz did make up one of the 2 laps that he lost as he came back to the start-finish line, so he is now 1 lap down. He is presently sitting in 4th position on the Speedway.
Yeah, Resendiz did a great job there in getting by Grissom during that last caution period. Now you're going to watch if we can run a few laps under green here. I think once again you'll see car number 31, Grissom, start to pull away from the rest of the field. It's to his advantage for the race to stay green. You see Bound, when his tires are cool, he can mount a charge like right now. He drives right by him.
And we have a change for the lead on lap 88 as Chuck Bound has taken over the top spot.
This is the first lap all season. The defending Busch Grand National Series champion Chuck Bound has led. He won the pole at Volusia County, didn't lead a lap. So Bound starting to pull away now in the Nescafe Classic Pontiac as we've got Grissom with big problems out of turn 4. Something is wrong with Steve Grissom. That car lurching all over the racetrack.
And let's follow that back there at the top of the screen as Steve Grissom is now a roadblock where moments ago he was the race leader. A tire is going down. It looks like a left rear tire, and that is going to bring our pole sitter to pit road. And what a heartbreak for a man who really needed a good break today.
That monkey that climbed on Steve Grissom's back at the beginning of 1991 is now the size of King Kong. You see all the front end damage. You might have thought sooner or later some of that sheet metal had to rub on one of those Goodyear tires.
It looks like that's what happened, Mark. They are changing right side tires. And then, folks, as you're looking at that car, that's amazing. That's the car that was leading the race, and the whole front end is practically knocked off of it. He's down and away and back out into the action now.
And we thought it was a left rear, our initial report, but from all the damage that he had in an earlier incident with Mike Oliver, it was indeed a right front tire which went down. He is down 2 laps to our race leader, Chuck Bound, the defending Busch Grand National Champion. Now in third position is Butch Miller. Fourth, Bobby Donner, having his best run of the season to this point as we are approaching the 1/3 mark of the race. And in turn number 1, the 85 car, that is Bobby Moon, having some serious problems, throwing up a sheet of sparks as he heads toward the back pits.
He's got a right front tire down, and he just let the front of the car simply get down on the racetrack. We saw a lot of sparks, but that's what it was. You're going to see a lot of cut tires here because of the pavement tearing up.
You see the gap now. Here's Chuck Bound working out of turn 4 as it looks like Jeff Gordon has problems again in the Carolina Ford dealer's Thunderbird. That 4th turn has been miserable for him. He's got a right front tire now down. He'll have to make another stop on pit road. 19 years old, Jeff Gordon out of Indiana.
I think the reason that we're seeing all these right side tires go down, in addition to the bumping and banging going on the racetrack, they're now starting to have to move up the racetrack off of that low groove just a little bit. There's a lot of trash and debris up there. They're running over stuff cutting these tires.
And also, Goodyear brought a different right side compound than they have ever run here before. It actually has a little bit less tire tread. It is thinner rubber. The reason for that being to keep the tire temperatures down, because they are always concerned about great traction on a new track building up too much temperature, either blistering or blowing out tires.
That's a good point, Mark. And what they've done, you see now Gordon is finally making his way into pit road. It took him 2 laps around the racetrack before he could get into pit road because of the extreme amount of heavy traffic.
After Steve Grissom bottled up the pack, Kenny Wallace was forced to dodge him and lost about 20 car lengths to Chuck Bound. He has made up all that daylight as we see Jeff Gordon's crew going to work on the right side of his race car. Wallace has caught Bound, and it appears the back end of Bound's race car not behaving as well as he'd like it to, and Kenny Wallace is right there ramming and jamming looking for the top spot.
I think Chuck's car is getting a little loose, and as he runs 10-15 laps under green, it really starts to go away from him. You can see that when Grissom was leading, and now you're exactly right, Mark. Kenny Wallace is really putting the pressure on him. And right behind Wallace is car number 79, Resendez, and behind him is Steve Grissom trying to make up a lap.
And those 2 cars are both on pressure tires. They've come on to pit road. As you see, Steve Grissom now with those new right side tires blowing past the Dave Resendez. And we have trouble coming off of turn 4. Ward Burton is in the wall.
Steve Grissom tried to dive underneath Chuck Bound at the start-finish line to get a lap back. Wasn't able to do it.
He didn't quite make it that time, but I'll guarantee you with those fresh right side tires on, he's going to pull up in the outside lane on the restart. And when they throw the green flag, he will be able to make up one of those laps.
And that's caution number 7 here at South Boston. We'll be back with more Yellow Fever in just a moment.
When Acura asked if we would design a new tire for the extraordinary NSX, we responded very quickly. Yokohama, where Acura turned for ultra-high performance.
You take me back to that feeling.
Today's auto engines are running hotter and putting added strain on hoses. So if you haven't changed your hoses lately, it just makes sense to do it now, before they go. And don't settle for less than Gates hoses from Carquest Auto Parts stores. Gates, the world's most trusted name in belts and hoses.
And Carquest keeps us rolling down the road.
I could spend all day here.
Wouldn't leave much time to fish.
Don't you have enough lures?
You never have enough lures.
Look at the price on this rod.
Well, don't let that one get away.
We need headlights.
We need a car stereo.
They have really great sales here. Come to Kmart for Shimano's FX 200 spinning reel combo with quick fire casting and 6-foot rod on sale.
Do I know where the deals are?
Deals, yes. Fish, no.
Brian Bosworth. They think he's stone crazy.
You picked up the wrong passenger, buddy.
But he's really stone cold.
Rated R. Starts Friday, May 17th at select theaters.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch Crunches.
Well, the top five show Chuck Bonner, race leader with Kenny Wallace second, Bobby Dowder third, Troy Beebe fourth, and Jeff Burton, a local favorite, has moved up to fifth, but his brother's day is pretty much over, and here's the reason why.
You see the car come off the corner, watch for the blue car. There he comes, and he smacks that wall real hard. He completely flattened the right side of that car, so he is definitely out for today.
All the wrestlers on the Worldwide Wrestling Federation would have liked that body slam. That was a solid shot to the right side.
Yeah, there wasn't anything fake about that one either. not to say that the wrestling is.
Oh, no telling.
We'll be back with more here from South Boston momentarily.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
If your car's hesitating and hard to start, it's time for a tune-up, right? Not if you've a clogged fuel injector. Then it's time for Gum Out Extra Fuel Injector Cleaner. Just one bottle of Gum Out Extra added to a tank of gas unclogs fuel injectors better than detergent gasolines alone. Gum Out frees your car from hard start, sluggish performance, and stalling. So before you get an expensive tune-up, try Gum Out Extra for fuel injectors and carburetors.
Gum Out is available at Pep Boys.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
For the top 10.
Well, it's a great day to have the concession for the wreckers or for sheet metal, and Bill Hennessy's got a story on Pit Road about all the problems that these drivers are having.
Okay, Mike Hillman, you're the crew chief on the Steve Wilson car. The problem, he came in with a flat tire. There was some worry about it being cut. What was the problem?
Well, looks like he ran over one of the rocks where the racetrack's coming apart out there, Bill. But Roddenberry automobile's running awful good. Steve's confident he's going to get a couple of them laps back and still come to the front.
Okay, take a quick look at the tire here, and what we have is you think that cut mark is what made it go down. It wasn't. There was a puncture all the way through the tire right here. We just punctured it with a little piece of plastic to show you how soft the tire is.
And the green flag is back out with Chuck Bound up front, and Grissom now working desperately trying to get that lap back. The second place car in the race is the black number 36. That's Kenny Wallace. On the outside of him is Dave Resendiz, who is also a lapped car.
You're seeing a lot of pressure now being put on Bound to keep those lap cars behind him. Steve Grissom in 31 is 2 laps down. He's going to get that lap back pretty soon because he's got pressure right side tires.
Is that a good move by Bound to try to race a car that obviously is on better rubber right now?
Well, I'm sure that Chuck is feeling that he can hold him off right now, but not for long. Steve's getting under him every time they come off the corner. I don't think that he should be racing right now. I think you should just let him go. They've got over 190 laps of racing left, and you can't worry about a guy that's 2 laps down right now.
And as you can see, all sorts of pressure being applied by Steve Grissom as he is trying to do everything under his power, short of giving Chuck Bound a real good nudge to get back into the lead lap.
This kind of racing between these two drivers is nothing new. In Pulaski, Virginia last year, Bound and Grissom went at it. Grissom eventually won the race, but not after they had both delivered a lot of physical abuse to each other's race cars. They drove each other clean. They didn't spin each other out, but they certainly put some contact on each other.
Well, you got two of the cleanest driving guys in the sport right there, Mark, and I can't say enough about either one of them. I think the world of both guys, and they are certainly clean competitors. On the monitor now, you see car 9 Troy Beebe and 99 Jeff Burton.
And that is the battle for fourth place. Right behind them is Todd Bodine, and then the winner of last week's race, David Green, in the black number 8.
Bodine is driving a car that he has raced every event except Daytona. They call it the Scud because they never know where it's going to hit next.
Well, right now, the Scud's doing a pretty good job. I've been impressed with Beebe. This is one of the few times that I've been able to see him race, and not having any experience on these tracks. That's the driver of car number 9. He's doing a terrific job out there right now.
And that's the race leader in car 63, Chuck Bound. We mentioned, Mark, a moment ago, a point that we'd like to elaborate on just a little bit here. When we talked about Pulaski last year, yes, they did lean on each other, but I think everyone was impressed in the final 50 laps of that race how clean Chuck Bound in second place drove Steve Grissom.
Well, at the time, Steve Bird was Steve Grissom's crew chief. He was hopping up and down with NASCAR. Tell Chuck Bound to lay off my driver. Tell him to leave him alone. And as soon as Steve Grissom got out of the race car after winning, after Chuck Bound had laid about 50 jabs on his rear bumper, Grissom said, I want to thank Chuck Bound for driving me clean because he could have spun me out and wrecked me.
And we have caution on the Speedway. Once again, caution number 9. And we are 128 laps into this race. Folks, we are on a record pace for cautions if this keeps up, as Troy Beebe's car number 9 going through turn 2 appears to be part of the reason, at least, for this latest caution. There is what is left of his rear bumper being held on by glue. And we'll be back with more action from a wild Carquest Auto Parts 300 after this.
NASCAR, NHRA, CART, the world of outlaws. Go inside the exciting, colorful, and dangerous world of auto racing with NASCAR great Neil Bonnet. Get to know the winners. Sports Sundays and following Saturdays on TNN.
Homeowners, if you're tired of ordinary mowers that blow clippings everywhere and clumsy bagging mowers that need constant emptying, here's great news. It's the breakthrough mulching mower from Troy-Bilt, a revolutionary new kind of mower that ends bagging and raking forever. The Troy-Bilt mulcher has no discharge chute to spray clippings, no awkward bag to fill up and clog with grass. In fact, the mulching mower doesn't leave clippings at all. Whether you're cutting your lawn or mulching a blanket of fall leaves, the revolutionary blade and deck design vacuums clippings up to be cut and recut into tiny nitrogen-rich particles. 100% natural free fertilizer that's recycled directly into your lawn. The results are remarkable. A beautiful, super healthy lawn with less time and less work than ever before. For full details on the revolutionary Troy-Bilt mulching mower, call toll-free 1-800-638-9898. We'll send you a free Troy-Bilt mulching mower catalog by return first-class mail. So call 1-800-638-9898 now.
Today's race coverage on the Nashville Network is being brought to you by the more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. If you're just joining us here on the Nashville Network for the continuing coverage of today's race, you've missed a lot, and you haven't missed a lot because we've still got more than half the race to go, and we've already had 9 cautions. There's our leaderboard right at the moment, with Chuck Bound having taken the lead from our pole sitter Steve Grissom on lap 88. Kenny Wallace has been close, but not that close in recent laps, with Bobby Dotter running a great race in third. Troy Beebe is dragging his bumper around the track. He was hoping it would fall off, but he's been black flagged by NASCAR to come in and get it removed. And all in all, I would say that the way we're headed right now, looking at cars like Mike Wallace's, who is showing more than just a little bit of short track damage, that a rookie driver who had a great run last week, that this race may be over before sunset, maybe not.
Mike Wallace, he may have to make an unscheduled pit stop here in just a moment. Same problem as Troy Beebe. The rear bumper, the rubber part of that rear bumper hanging loose and dragging on the racetrack. And, of course, NASCAR conceded it's fluorescent green. I mean, they can't miss that.
It's pretty hard to hide that one. I don't know who let the gremlins out of the bag here this afternoon, but...
and here's a replay of the reason for our latest caution. As you see, Richard Lassiter and Troy Beebe got together.
Looks like Jeff Burton also got into the back bumper of Troy Beebe just a little bit. And you see Lassiter's car climbing up the passenger side of that Taco Bell machine. Maybe you want a little door-to-door service there.
Well, and Mark, this was directly after I had commented and commended Troy Beebe on the fine job he was doing, and he takes a spin down the backstretch.
All right, just prior to that last caution, we have a rundown of race cars on the lead lap, and then leader Chuck Bound, of course, then followed by Kenny Wallace, Bobby Dotter, Troy Beebe, and it was Jeff Burton, Todd Bodine, David Green, Jack Ingram moving up steadily through the field. That's a story we'll want to document further as this race progresses. An interesting story there in the car he's running today. And it's Tom Peck, Mike Wallace, battered and banged machine. Ed Barrier, Elton Sawyer, who made a great move underneath as we go back to green flag action. And once again, Steve Grissom tries to make the move, but this time Kenny Wallace gets underneath him. And Grissom, great power, great torque.
He did a tremendous job there because Wallace gave him a real pop as they started into turn one there. But Grissom's car is just a little bit quicker and should be quicker in the corners right now because he has fresher tires on than the other two.
I mean, a real question that we need to be watching as they pull away by 12 car lengths from second place Kenny Wallace is just, as you mentioned moments ago, just how much of the race cars Chuck Bound using up, trying to maintain the lead and keep Grissom a lap down as he goes to the outside, takes a look, tries to get back on the lead circuit.
A new tack for Steve Grissom. He couldn't get by on the inside because Bound was hugging the rail of the racetrack. He'll now try the outside, and Chuck Bound's driving theory is, if a man wants to go around me, I'll give him plenty of room because that's the hard way around.
Absolutely, and Grissom didn't take any time at all driving right by him. Car showing extreme good handling right now early on in the race. I still think that Grissom has the quickest car on the racetrack, but he's still a lap and a half down.
Now that's a battle back in the pack as now Kenny Wallace is coming on to pit road. Now they can't pit for tires under caution. He's coming in under green. This is an unscheduled pit stop as they go to the right side of that Cox-treated lumber Pontiac.
What a very tough break. They could have come in just a while back, and apparently the trouble started as soon as he took the green flag. And a lot of times, Glenn, while you're riding around slow, you don't know you have a tire going down.
Well, that's true. And, you know, it also could be he gave Grissom a pretty good shot there on the restart. He could have knocked the fender in on the tire. They're having problems right now. The air hose hung in the car, hung up under the right front fender. He's down and away now, but that cost him about an extra 10 to 15 seconds. That lost time in the pits is awfully tough to make up on the racetrack.
And that is also something that has plagued this man at this Speedway. He is just snake bit here. He hasn't run that many races, but truth to tell, he has yet to finish better than 6th here at South Boston in any of his previous Grand National starts.
All this scrambling has allowed Chuck Bound to open up a lead of 4.17 seconds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but on a third-mile racetrack, that's a ton of space between first and second.
Well, it is, Mark. It's about a third of a lap, and we're seeing a lot of cars right now starting, and we got big trouble now coming down the front stretch. There's a bumper come off a car.
And that is
was Kenny Wallace.
Kenny Wallace, that's right. And that will definitely bring out the caution. As you can see, the debris, a piece of sheet metal that nobody wants to run over.
Kenny Wallace's car was off the pace, slowly moving down the front straightaway. A car came up from behind him, didn't know Kenny was off the throttle, and just jammed him from behind. You see it broke a big piece of that Cox-treated lumber Pontiac off and dropped it right in the middle of the front straightaway.
These drivers are really having their hands full, not just with each other, but with the racetrack. And at this rate, folks, we will indeed set a record. We'll come back and watch them clear more debris in just a moment from South Boston, Virginia. The more than 550 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price.
John, how you doing? You know AutoZone customers are pretty special. I mean, they take great pains in doing a job just right. So they know exactly what they want. That's why we carry so many parts. And also why we price them so low every day of the week. Because you gotta admire a guy who'll tackle a job like putting in a starter, a water pump, a rack and pinion. And you gotta give a guy like that exactly what he wants. The right parts and the right price.
The only thing I like better than winning is winning big. Now, you can win big, too, at Western Steer.
You can get more of this free when you buy one of these. You'll get a free frequent buyer's card with your first purchase of a Dale Earnhardt's Winter Circle steak meal. Then each time you select one of these steak specials, you're one lap closer to qualifying for free Earnhardt posters and caps and a free steak meal. Available at participating Western Steers, the official restaurant of America's #1 race team.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
It shouldn't come as any real surprise, but we're under caution once again for the 11th time for cars basically littering everywhere through turns 3 and 4. Let's show it to you again on a replay if we have it here just momentarily. It really triggered at the beginning of it with Tommy Houston trying to get back one of his laps. And Chuck Bound was the poor unfortunate soul. The two of them came together. He spun down into the infield. That has already happened there. But now look what happens out in turn 4.
That's David Green sliding crossways in the front straightaway, collects Gary Neese, and then Tom Peck slams into him. A lot of damage to the Peck machine as we see the car circulating still under yellow as the David Green car is stopped at the end of pit road. Let's go down to Bill Hennessy.
Here's the word on what happened to Kenny Wallace. Kenny came down the pit lane. All of a sudden made a right-hand turn, tried to miss all his crewmen, almost drove into the back of his transporter trailer. The problem was the right rear brake line has been cut. The reservoir was completely dry of brake fluid. They just put 2 bottles of it in there, and he'll be returning to the action as soon as he can, but this has really turned into a real melee of a race. Another comment is keep your eyes on the 52 car, Butch Miller. He came in early, took on fuel and 2 tires, and is moving back through the pack.
We are also now in the window where we expect to see any contending cars coming onto pit road. We're right around halfway. Now here's a replay on the incident up with the race leader.
Well, I don't think that Houston and Bound got together as much as Houston forced Bound up out of the groove and got him into marbles. Tommy made a real quick move going down the backstretch and into turn 3 and took Chuck's groove away from him. And I don't think he was ready to go into that turn at that spot.
I think Bound, in that case, again, driving the lap cars too hard. At one point in this race, we thought he should have let Steve Grissom go, and perhaps he should have let Houston go as well. We'll have more from South Boston, Virginia in just a moment. We're back under yellow for the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
You take me back to that feeling. I remember ice cream sodas, holding hands in picture shows, and driving home in one more kiss goodnight. I take good care of this sweet treasure. We share such good times together. You still get us where we want to go, and Carquest keeps us rolling down the road. You take me back to that feeling of taking off and riding with the wind. You take me back to that feeling. Those memories are the best I've ever known, and Carquest keeps us rolling down the road.
In America, your car doesn't just get you from here to there. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3 Add more life to your car.
What you're about to see is a sim. Brushstrokes, runs, streaks. Now consider the new Wagner Power Painter. It has patented controls for precision, a convenient backpack for big jobs. It paints smoothly and evenly over cracks and tough surfaces. Why did we ruin this beauty? So you wouldn't ruin this one. Wagner, not just a whole lot faster, a whole lot better.
Well, with all the nuttiness here in South Boston, Virginia, our new race leader is Bobby Dotter. The first time he has led this year, an uncustomary position as the green flag is back out, and he has to do a nice move to get around David Green, who just ducked off a pit road. And you can see the bottleneck of traffic there as Bobby Labonte had to go up high, but they somehow managed to sort themselves out. That was a close call for at least a dozen cars.
That was a close call for the whole field because those are the lead cars coming down there. I can't believe that the NASCAR officials did not stop David Green from entering the racetrack at that time. They should have made him wait and fall into the end of the field.
Bobby Dotter getting some heavy pressure from Jeff Burton. A year ago, Burton pressured Chuck Bound into a bell, finished second in this race. Dotter, of course, still trying to win his first career Busch Grand National Series event. Looks very strong in one of the few unmarked, undamaged race cars as we just moved past the halfway mark of this Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
We're on lap 159 of the 300 that'll make up this event. And as we've been mentioning all along, it looks like we're on a record pace for cautions if this keeps up. Sitting back in the third position is the Ed Barrier car on the right side of the screen there at 33. Then it's Todd Bodine. But here's a great battle up front. Bobby Dotter from Chicago, Illinois. He's had a pretty difficult season. A driver who toils here without much notoriety. His best finish was 9th at Hickory. But he's really been running in all but one of the events at the finish. But for a variety of bad luck and other situations, really hasn't been able to put the kind of finishes together he'd like. His father still runs the ARCA series, that Midwest Stock Car Series, and they certainly learned from him. Now he's trying to teach a few lessons to everybody else in the field today, but Jeff Burton, who cut his teeth here at this Speedway, is having a great run. You can see how the cars arc out around the track. I mean, it's really a circle, as you mentioned before, Glenn. And now, where does the fatigue factor start setting in?
Well, so far, because of the extreme number of cautions, the drivers haven't had a chance to get tired. They don't run but 15 or 20 laps under green. And when the caution comes out, you're slowing down. All that strain and stress and G-forces are not at work on you. So it hasn't been too bad on them so far.
There's just been 2 lead changes among 2 drivers so far in this race. The average speed, a very pokey turtle-like 59.813 miles per hour. 11 caution flags for 42 laps. And again, our current leader from Chicago, Illinois, Bobby Dotter, a very good young driver looking to score his first victory this afternoon here in Virginia.
Guys, if my counting is correct, you're seeing Bobby Dotter being pressured by Jeff Burton there. We'll go a little bit further back into the pack, and you'll see car number 11, Jack Ingram, a 5-time national champion, has moved up into 5th position. He was very strong in practice. He had a poor qualifying run. By his own admission, he said he just goofed up, but he's moved up to 5th place now.
Well, maybe one of the very best moves we've seen this entire race was by Kenny Wallace's crew about 20 laps ago as he came onto pit road without brakes. Now, on pit road with our Bill Hennessy is one of the men who had the quick feet. Let's check it with Bill now.
What an unusual pit stop Kenny Wallace just made. He almost took it right on home in the trailer. Was that by design? Well, yeah, caliper. We can get it real slow and just right up the ramp of the trailer and stop it. Come in a little higher than we thought. We didn't wreck Rusty's trailer. He's probably wondering about that. The trailer's okay. We got the caliper fixed, so we got a couple of laps. We still got a lot of laps to go. That was a costly stop to the current points leader.
As he was talking about the problems they had in the pits, Kenny Wallace has problems on the racetrack. Our Grand National points leader brings out caution number 12, but he had a lot of help.
He certainly did. Chuck Bound pounded him coming out of turn 4, cut him across the racetrack. Bound did not get out of that scot-free. You see it here out of turn 4. They got behind Gary Neese. It looked like Kenny got off the throttle a little bit, and Chuck just pow right there.
That's exactly what happened, Mark. Kenny had to drive up out of the groove, and the car started the back end started to break loose just a little bit. Had to get out of the gas. Chuck had already accelerated. That's just one of those things you've heard it 1,000 times, but it's true. That's just racing on a short track.
Look at the rut in the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a big hole, and we said earlier the track was going to tear up down in turns 1 and 2, and that's exactly where that rut is going into turn 1. Tremendous amount of force when these cars, with all their horsepower, dive into those turns at extreme rate of speed. It really tears up that fresh asphalt. They just did a patching job on it yesterday. It just hasn't had enough time to cure yet.
But we applaud the folks here at the South Boston Speedway for resurfacing a racetrack, one that the drivers like to compete on because it is a challenging racetrack, and it takes a good driver and a good setup to compete here. This track hosted Winston Cup events when it was called the Grand National Series for about 10 years. Men like Richard Petty had won here, David Pearson, Allison, Glenn Jarrett. You have won races at this track.
Well, I would like to say that I have, and I misled.
Well, you were pointing at yourself there like you did.
Well, but I was saying my dad. I don't think I've ever won a race anywhere.
Yeah, I think that fellow's name is what, Ned Jarrett?
Ned Jarrett, yeah. Yeah, we've heard of him.
It's got to be very frustrating to repave a racetrack. They were trying to improve it. In some circumstances, the heat, the track not curing have just worked against them. Their heart was in the right place.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the best kept facilities and one of the prettiest facilities on the whole circuit. And so everybody loves to come here and race. We're back under green.
And Tommy Houston, a gentleman who's had his share of troubles this afternoon, is trying to work his way back forward and get himself on lap. And we talked with him earlier about track conditions here at South Boston. And now look at him. There he goes for a spin. We got to stop talking about these people because every time we do, they get in trouble. That is wiped out. Chuck Bound, the 27 car at the left portion of your screen is Elton Sawyer, and Jack Ingram, who's having his best run of the season by far.
Yeah, that's a real shame for all those guys involved in that because Houston just got tapped. And again, you're running on such a ragged edge here this afternoon. The temperatures are so hot, and the track is real greasy, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. Just when you get bumped, you lose traction. Watch this.
Tommy Houston was working behind Todd Bodine. He tried to come down the racetrack. Dave Rezendes was already there. Rezendes pops him in the door, sends him around. He caroms in Steve Grissom is there, too. And then look at Jack Ingram running strong. So was Chuck Bound, and they had a roadblock.
Yeah, and I don't think Jack's car was hurt too badly. I think he got stopped before he hit too hard. Chuck had looked like a good bit of front end. In fact, he does have a severe amount of right front damage. But I don't believe Ingram's car was hurt too badly.
And it looks like Chuck Bound's car may have taken the worst lick. He's throwing up a smoke screen from a good bit of sheet metal rubbing on that right front tire.
You know, some races that gained a lot of popularity a few years back, these enduro races, they take street cars, throw them out there for 300 or 400 laps. You know, strongest, will come away the winner. Here's Chuck Bound smoking heavily the right front of that Pontiac. It looks like an enduro race here tonight. Only the strong will survive.
That's right. The smoke you're seeing out of Bound is tire smoke. It is not oil smoke.
And the crewmen stay busy on pit road as we completed 174 laps. We've still got 126 to go. How many more cautions will we see? We'll find out in just a minute here from South Boston. Continuing Busch Grand National coverage on TNN is being brought to you by Finish 2001, the car polish of the future that brings back that showroom shine today.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with the Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now from these fine stores.
Old MacDonald had a mule. He lived in Ohio, and on his mule he hauled supplies to where he had to go. Well, he hauled things here and he hauled things there. Here he hauled, there he hauled, everywhere he hauled. Old MacDonald had a mule. It didn't cost much though.
The affordable new Mule 500 from Kawasaki. It's perfect for those stubborn jobs.
Old MacDonald had a mule, and boy did that thing go. La 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 la.
This is where it happened. The breakthrough in urethane chemistry that created a car polish so technologically advanced, one application lasts an entire year. Introducing Finish 2001, the car polish you use only once every 12 months. This old car's been badly neglected. Its finish appears destroyed. With no rubbing, no buffing, Finish 2001 with its urethane formula safely brings back the showroom shine, a rich, deep gloss shine that lasts an entire year. We tested Finish 2001 against other leading polishes, even some that claim to protect your car against fire or against acid. And the test results? Nothing, but nothing protects or shines better than Finish 2001. The 12-month car polish with a 100% money-back guarantee.
Racing fans are as loyal as any fans in the world that signed back their farewell to Jack Ingram. He's on his last season of competition in the Busch Brand National Series. He was running in the top 5 in that latest incident. We'll talk more about him in just a moment. An interesting story of him here in the race. There's our leaderboard as we have it. Jeff Burton is now our race leader with Ed Barrier second. Then it's Todd Bodine third. We're back under green again. The question is, for how long?
The car on the outside there, car number 87 is Joe Nemechek. He's a lap down. He's had some problems now. He's hung out in the outside lane, but Joe has done a real good job of keeping his car straight and clean today. He's one of only 4 cars on the racetrack that doesn't have any damage on it.
Let's give you a sense after 179 laps of the cars that are still on the lead lap. We've got Jeff Burton. We've got Ed Barrier, Todd Bodine, Butch Miller, who we'll talk about more in a minute, Troy Beebe, 49 car of infantry, and Chuck Bond, despite all his trouble. And look at there as Dave Resendiz heads toward the wall. Nice save, but can he hold it?
He comes crossing right in traffic, everybody dodging. Joe Nemechek just forced him up the racetrack into the marbles, and it looks like you can't even steer up there. You're just along for the ride.
No, it's obvious there, Mark, how slowly he was going. He was completely out of gas. Thought the car was under control. Once you get out of that groove up in those marbles, your history. You're just at the mercy of the racetrack and the wall, whichever comes first.
And the white car at the top of your screen pulling onto pit road was the third-place car of Todd Bodine. He is now in the pits.
The Scud has landed, and not where Todd wanted it to.
And the 44 car of Bobby Labonte just had some trouble coming off turn 4, and the caution is back out again. Caution number 14, 5 and counting to the record.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to set a new record today. I don't see any way around it. There's still enough cars on the racetrack to set a caution record.
And there you see the action coming off turn 4. We've seen a lot of that. We shouldn't be surprised by this now, as Dave Resendiz and Joe Nemechek are having some fun, and that's what happens there. You get a little bit too high, and you're gone.
Now watch Resendiz's car. Watch how slowly he's going now. He does a good job in keeping the car off the wall, but when he finally does get it slowed down, the car still won't turn. It's so slick out of that groove.
Mike Harwood is probably going to need to recuperate for the next 3 days. He's the NASCAR flagman. That right arm is probably just about worn out by now. In fact, it's aerobic flagging, I think, in today's race.
A little bit of tendonitis setting in right now.
Yeah, I imagine he's probably going to have to get relief and go put a brace on pretty soon.
You'll be the whole week. You'll see him his arm in a sling, you know, as we get ready to go to Nazareth, Pennsylvania next week.
We also want to mention something. We already mentioned earlier that the record for Grand National cautions is 18. That was set a couple of years ago. And the record for most laps under caution is 90. And I'll give you guys one guess what racetrack it's at. Go ahead, Mark. You get the first shot.
I get the first shot. South Boston.
Bingo.
How did we know? Well, you know, guys, one reason for that is, again, this racetrack is so quick. You run through the turns so fast. If something happens in front of you, you just don't have any time to make a move to avoid somebody. And that's the problem here. Also, with the slick racing surface today, something happens in front of you, you make a move to dodge a guy, you get out of the groove, and you're into the wall.
Very interesting top 5 at this point. Jeff Burton on top. That's not a surprise. He's run strong all year. But Ed Barrier, Butch Miller, of course, has won a race, but Troy Beebe also up there along with Bobby Daughter. So a very interesting top 5 at this juncture of the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
Yeah, Bobby Daughter a while ago had been leading the race, but he ducked onto pit road real briefly, stayed on the lead lap, and we're back under green once again on lap 186. We've still got 114 to go as the beaten and battered field charges up the backstretch with Jeff Burton, the leader, being dogged by Ed Barrier, by far and away having his best run of the season. But he is between the leader and the lap car, and that is Steve Grissom, who once again is trying to work his way back out of the lap trouble that he seems to have been ever since about lap 88.
Grissom has been doing this all day. It's sort of like running in quicksand, Glenn. You got a good race car, but you can't do much about it until you get those laps back. If you've got a guy out front running as strong as Jeff Burton is right now, it just seems like forever you're chasing that man.
Yeah, you saw some interesting shots there, and you're zooming in again. Watch Grissom. He can really jerk that car around on the racetrack. Watch him dive down below coming off the turn there. Not many people are able to do that today. That car is really hooked up. He just had a bad break and got 2 laps down and can't get it back.
And Grissom is doing a nice job right now of not messing with the leader. He's going to try and work as hard as he can to get another lap back, but he could very easily get into Jeff Burton, but he won't do
Trouble
that.
on the front stretch. Butch Miller, who was running in the 4th position, has spun, bringing out the caution again. We're closing in further on that record.
And Miller's car has stalled, and he's going to lose a lap to the leaders. He does. They pass him by right now. That's a real bad break for Miller, because I felt like he was one of the cars that was in key position to win this thing. When the car spun, it stalled, and being hot, he just couldn't get it refired until just now.
And 20 feet further, and he would have spun across the start-finish line and would not have lost that lap.
A lot of contact here today, guys. It's almost like a football game. So with 15 cautions, what's that? A touchdown, 2 field goals, and a safety.
I think it's 15 yards for unsportsmanlike conduct.
No, there's been no safety out in this racetrack for anybody. Here's a replay on the incident.
Miller, with Troy Beebe right behind him, might have got a little bit of help. A slow, lazy spin down the front straightaway, and everybody out of the way as Butch Miller comes to a stop. There you see it again at ground level. Miller sliding safely to the inside, and everybody else scurrying to the outside and safety.
Well, this is one of the times when you spin, he spun down the racetrack out of harm's way, but the one thing that he couldn't do was to keep the car running, and it cost him a lap.
Well, tomorrow the Winston Cup Stars will be down at Talladega, Alabama. That race can be seen on ESPN Live. We've got live Busch Grand National coverage. It has been wild here at South Boston as the field is back under green again, and Steve Grissom once again works on race leader Jeff Burton, trying to get at least one of his laps back. He spent a number of minutes on pit road, but it's amazing that he is able to stay so close to contention, even though his lap's down. He's, as you've said, Glenn, been one of the strongest cars out there all day.
Well, Grissom gets my vote as the hardest working guy out here today. He is really working hard to stay off of the car that he's trying to pass. He's not, he can muscle his way in there. Watch him right now. If he's going to touch him, he backs off. He did right there. He could have gone on muscling a little bit, bumped him, and driven on by, but he doesn't choose to race that way. We said earlier he's one of the cleanest driving guys out there. He might have to use a little muscle here in a minute to get on by Jeff Burton to get that lap back.
If there is a favorite in this race from a fan standpoint here, it would have to be Jeff Burton, who cut his teeth in this series right here at South Boston.
Jeff Burton ran his very first race right here in 1985, a street stock race. Guess what? He won it. Came back the next year running late model stock machines, the regular Saturday night show for NASCAR racing. Won a number of races, and he very nearly won a championship here in 1988, I believe, when he broke his back in a wreck in a nearby track in Orange County, Speedway, and that cost him the championship. So Jeff Burton is the hometown favorite. He wins this race. They'll burn the grandstands.
And we have reached a milestone of this event. We have just completed 200 laps as up in turn number 4, Jack Ingram has broken loose and has triggered another caution, number 16, the Iron Man.
Gary Neese also stopped against the concrete retaining wall in turn number 4. So we're under caution yet again in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300. We'll be back with more from South Boston, Virginia.
He's one of the hottest new stars in country music, and he's coming to the Opry. Travis Tritt stars on the Grand Ole Opry Live, Saturday on TNN.
Homeowners, if you're tired of ordinary mowers that blow clippings everywhere and clumsy bagging mowers that need constant emptying, here's great news. It's the breakthrough mulching mower from Troy-Bilt, a revolutionary new kind of mower that ends bagging and raking forever. The Troy-Bilt mulcher has no discharge chute to spray clippings, no awkward bag to fill up and clog with grass. In fact, the mulching mower doesn't leave clippings at all. Whether you're cutting your lawn or mulching a blanket of fall leaves, the revolutionary blade and deck design vacuums clippings up to be cut and recut into tiny nitrogen-rich particles. 100% natural free fertilizer that's recycled directly into your lawn. The results are remarkable. A beautiful, super healthy lawn with less time and less work than ever before. For full details on the revolutionary Troy-Bilt mulching mower, call toll-free 1-800-638-9898. We'll send you a free Troy-Bilt mulching mower catalog by return first-class mail. So call 1-800-638-9898 now.
We've got 95 laps remaining in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300. Gary Neese is getting the attention of the safety crews here at South Boston. This will be a lengthy caution period, so we'll take another break, and we'll be back with more action here, as we have had 16 yellows to date. The Busch Grand National record is 18. The suspense is building on the yellows here at South Boston, Virginia. We'll be back with more in a moment.
She may not care that visual perfection took years to develop. She may not care that visual perfection's state-of-the-art technology produces an unsurpassed, deep, rich, brilliant color. Well, maybe she does. Visual perfection from Eagle One, the ultimate auto polish.
Cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. For those who've discovered its real draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
The other day I get in my car, won't start. No small problem, right? Well, I figure it's the battery, so I go down to the AutoZone and I tell them what I need. The guy says to me, let's check your old one first. It might not be the problem. Turns out he was right. All I needed was a new battery cable. Talk about saving money. Now you tell me, would another parts store done that? They made sure I got exactly what I needed. Now I'll remember that. Believe me, I will.
If only your tires could talk.
It's so tiring. He babies the car, then abuses me with messy vinyl cleaner. Hey, I'm rubber. No-touch tire care. Ooh, nice foam.
Introducing No Touch Tire Care, the first product to clean, shine, and protect tires in one easy step. No scrubbing, no dirty rags, no mess.
Yeah, clean and shiny. Oh, no, bad doggy, go away.
Treat your tires right with new No Touch Tire Care.
Well, understandably, NASCAR has had its hands full scoring this event with so many cars spinning, coming onto pit road, going back out. Here's the leaderboard unofficially as it's shown right at the moment. Just past the two-thirds mark, Jeff Burton, the local favorite, is the leader, with Ed Berrier having a great run. Chuck Bond, despite all his problems, is shown third. Bobby Dotter fourth, and Joe Nemechek, the second-year driver, fifth, as the safety crews attend to Gary Neese, who was involved in the latest caution number 16, up there in turn 3. Hit the wall about 40 feet where his car came to rest. Hit at a little bit of an odd angle. The driver now being attended to, and there's the mark on the wall.
Sometimes when you look at those marks, you can almost see the imprint of the race car, and you see where one of his tires made a big impact as he scrubbed that wall. It doesn't look bad, but we can't see the right side of the race car up against the concrete.
Well, Mark, what appears to have happened, he either had a tire go down, brake failure, or else the accelerator hung, because there were marks going up the racetrack leading right to that spot on the wall where Gary hit the wall. And he hit it at a flat angle, like Mark Allen said, and that's the worst kind of angle that a race driver can hit the wall at.
Well, we don't want to speculate on any extent of injuries, if any, whatsoever, but you got to wonder here with the Winston 500 race, the second leg of the Winston Million tomorrow at Talladega, Alabama. You certainly don't want to see anything happen down there at the speeds they're running, 190+ miles per hour. That race can be seen live on ESPN, 2 o'clock Eastern starting time, hopefully weather permitting.
They're supposed to have some bad weather there in Talladega. Ernie Irvin and Harry Gant starting on the front row for that $788,000 event. We're still under yellow in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300. When we come back, hopefully the green flag as we continue here in South Boston, Virginia.
This is where it happened. The breakthrough in urethane chemistry that created a car polish so technologically advanced, one application lasts an entire year. Introducing Finish 2001, the car polish you use only once every 12 months. This old car's been badly neglected. Its finish appears destroyed. With no rubbing, no buffing, Finish 2001 with its urethane formula safely brings back the showroom shine, a rich, deep gloss shine that lasts an entire year. We tested Finish 2001 against other leading polishes. even some that claim to protect your car against fire or against acid. And the test results? Nothing, but nothing protects or shines better than Finish 2001, the 12-month car polish with a 100% money-back guarantee.
From the fields to the factories, all across this land, there's the spirit of Americans working hand in hand. And they put pride and quality in everything they do. That's why Roses salutes American workers like you.
It's your boss on the phone. He says, do you still work here or not?
I called the airline like you said, and sure, there's a later flight. Tomorrow.
When you just can't wait to get started, start with the Champion. Pound for pound, the most powerful automotive battery you can buy. Get your Champion now from these fine stores.
Hopefully the fans here at South Boston, Virginia didn't have any early dinner plans, because this race is clearly going to run beyond the anticipated time as we're 214 laps in. Jack Ingram, man who started 23rd and has one of the best all-time records at this racetrack. Take a look at that race car. Have you seen that in this series anytime recently? That is the Monte Carlo SS, that slope-back glass. He's running it because last week at Lanier Raceway, he was involved in an incident, banged up the car. He said he could have had it ready to race this weekend, but he said for some reason this car just runs real well on the short track. It's always been a short track car, and why bother fixing another car when I know this one's good?
Well, that car is an old friend. This track is an old friend. Jack Ingram has started 27 races here. His average finish is 6th. He finished 2nd here in 1989. And he's still looking for that first victory, though, since 1987. It's been quite a dry spell for the Iron Man, Jack Ingram.
Now, the Gary Neese machine has been removed from the Speedway, but what's keeping us from going back to green here for just a few moments is Neese was removed by ambulance from the Speedway, taken to an area hospital, and they're waiting for another ambulance up in Turn 2 to cross over to the racetrack, so they have another safety vehicle inside should anything else precipitate. In fact, it's standard procedure, we might add, that any time a car impacts the wall and that is not able to continue, that the driver has to have a medical checkup, whether it be in the infield care center or outside the racetrack if necessary.
We should be ready to go back to green in just a moment. You see the ambulance crossing the track, moving to the infield area. Glenn, what about the drivers? They're moving now into nitty-gritty time. This is quite a break, quite a chance for them to gather their thoughts, catch their breath for the final run.
Well, it is, Mark, and you've also seen some of the guys continue to come in under the caution to make the last adjustments on their cars.
And that's Ward Burton watching the action. In fact, watching his brother, you've got to believe he's pulling for him now. He was an early crash victim in this event. His Food Country USA machine was pretty badly battered, and so now he's seeing if he can learn anything standing on top of a trailer as we got one lap to go back to green.
Ward Burton's had a pretty good season so far. He's had some pretty good runs in that Oldsmobile. We're getting set to go back to green flag racing. The field jamming up behind Jeff Burton, the leader. Then second spot unofficially we'll have the Ed Barrier machine. 3rd, Bobby Daughter. 4th, Chuck Bound. And we believe riding right behind them should be maybe Jack Ingram on the rundown. It's a little bit confusing at this point in the racetrack as the lap cars and the lead lap cars get all mixed up together as we get set to go back to green.
They're forming 2 by 2. They need to sort out immediately as we go back to green flag action in the home stretch of the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
And once again, you see car number 31, Steve Grissom, on the outside of Jeff Burton, the 99 car, the leader, trying to get that lap back. He can't do it. It's just too slick in that outside group.
And we've run an entire lap without caution. Congratulations to all the drivers in the field. And there's Grissom making his move down underneath, trying to get one of those laps back.
Caution's out.
Caution once again, number 17, as Troy Beebe spun over in turn 2. The question is, did Steve Grissom beat him back to the line?
Did not do it by inches. If that yellow flag had come out just a little bit later, Grissom had Jeff Burton worked up the racetrack, and in one more lap would have gotten that lap back.
Well, that could be a big factor in this race because we're getting down to the waning moments of it now, and Grissom definitely needed to get that lap back. We're getting a signal now from the flagman for 1 to go, so he's going to get another chance at it real soon.
He's had to play musical flags all afternoon. He's had the green, yellow, and black in his hand. In fact, he's had the black in his hand a number of times, calling cars to pit road for oil leaks, for sheet metal rubs, for smoke, for various and sundry problems, and there have been more than the share of those in this event this afternoon. Half a lap back to green flag. Jeff Burton driving car number 99, a number that was occupied last year by Tommy Ellis. He is not here today. He parted company with the Lewis Cooper racing operation after Darlington, and that car is doing quite nicely now as Ellis is a spectator in this afternoon's race, the all-time race winner here at the Speedway, watching a number that he was so successful with as he's got his hands full. Jeff Burton with Steve Grissom, who has no quit in him.
Grissom finally got the jump on him there. You'll see him motor on by. Grissom's car is a little bit stronger. You'll see him pull away from Jeff Burton now.
Burton almost got worked up the racetrack long enough for Ed Barrier to try to grab the top spot away. What a run for Barrier this afternoon. And that Kate's Pickle car. Barrier out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, one of the better young drivers on this circuit, still also looking for his very first victory.
No question about it. You know, Mark, with the reports we have right now show that the 99 car and the 33 car have not made pit stops for tires yet. That's going to be interesting to see if they can stay out front.
And the question really becomes, with the number of cautions that we have seen, do they necessarily have to come into the pits? Because they're not really wearing the tires. Yes, they are, of course, wearing the tires, but they're not putting long stretches of green flag racing on them.
That's what they're gambling on right now, Mark, is that the extreme number of caution laps that we have run is going to enable them to go the distance on the set of tires that they started the race on.
Mark Allen, Mark Garrow, Glenn Jarrett, and Bill Hennessy, happy that you have joined us for this afternoon's live telecast of Busch Brand National Racing on TNN. Ed Barrier having by far and away his best run of the season, but he's going to be getting some pressure shortly from the lap car of Dave Rezendes, who a strong car, another strong car who had problems early and has spent the whole race trying to work his way back in front and unlap himself.
It's going to be awfully tough to make a move on Barrier unless he bumps him, because Ed's car is working extremely well way down low on the racetrack. Watch when he goes into turn how low he is. It's hard for a guy to make a move on him when he's right down on the dirt like that.
Barrier started the season in the Sam Ard car. There was a number 5 machine, but they parted company, and the sponsorship on the hood of the car actually changed a little bit too, as we see some debris on the racetrack up there in turn 4. That is out of the groove, so that should not affect the competition. But that's unusual to see a car change number, but essentially keep all the same personnel, as now he's moved. Ed Barrier has moved into car number 33. He was in 5 for the first portion of the season.
And he's doing a very good job. I believe that's a car that he and his dad own. Now we've got, you see Jeff Burton, the leader, is starting to move away from Ed Barrier. He's putting some distance on the rest of the field. He wants to see this green flag run continue.
Now we've got a stopwatch between the distance between first and second, and it's 1.5 seconds, so we'll be watching that as the race starts to wind down now, as Jack Ingram is trying to work his way back forward. He's right on the rear deck with the 08 machine. That's Bobby Dotter, who is having an excellent run this afternoon, and Chuck Bound, who we still have on the lead lap, although he's got about 3/4 of a race car left.
Jack Ingram just worked by Chuck Bound, and he said, well, Chuck, I was sorry about that, so let me move Bobby Dotter up. I'm going to get one more spot, and come on, buddy, you can come with me.
Jack Ingram's car is working very well right now. In fact, he's one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. He's having no problem moving right up through the field as he pulls up onto the rear deck of Tommy Houston in the car number 6. Houston a couple laps down, but Ingram is definitely on the move.
Bound has been one of the fastest cars all afternoon. He got by Bound and just left it. No doubt about it, if this field gets tightened up again under yellow, Jack Ingram will get to move even closer to leader Jeff Burton in track position, and he may have something to say about winning this race. Again, he hasn't won since 1987 in Rougemont, North Carolina. Jack Ingram, a very prideful man, will certainly like to leave his farewell tour with a victory.
And here's our top 5 unofficially, as we have it, as we're in the waning laps of this event, about 45 laps to go unofficially. Later, of course, Jeff Burton, 2nd place, Ed Barrier, as we've been documenting here. Chuck Bound, 3rd. Bobby Dotter is 4th, and we still have Joe Nemechek in that 5th position. A great run for that Lakeland, Florida driver, 2nd year in the Busch Brand National Series. And look at Ingram dive underneath Houston. There are 2 guys that have put more laps in Grand National competition probably than the entire rest of the field combined.
That's a good point, Mark. And evidently Jack Ingram has lost a lap in that altercation up in turn 4 with Chuck Bound a while ago, because he's being shown in the rundown behind Bound, but he's in front of him on the racetrack.
And in Houston, major fishtailing there coming off turn 4. Nice job to save that car.
Jack Ingram flying up through the pack. It looks like Chuck Bound's getting a free ride. Every time Jack moves cars up the racetrack, that allows Bound to get by as well. Bound certainly not as quick as leader Jeff Burton, but he's not having to work those cars as hard as he might with Jack Ingram showing him the way.
That's a good point, Mark. Jack opens the door, and Mark walks, and Chuck walks right through it behind him. Chuck has a lot of sheet metal flapping in the breeze on his car right now, and it's going to be interesting to see if NASCAR's taking a hard look at it to see if they might want to put a black flag on him. I don't think that they will, but there's a lot of sheet metal flapping there.
And Glenn Jarrett, you're right. His car really doesn't show much damage, the Jack Ingram machine, even though he was pretty heavy contact in that earlier incident.
I think he got the car slid to a stop, and we could see it bump just a little, but it didn't. It dented the right front fender. But compared to the rest of the field, his car looks brand new.
Right now, that's spoken like a used car salesman, which he is.
Trouble.
And up in turn 4, Ed Ferree is in the wall for the second time in that spot in this event. Caution number 17, only one away from the record on lap number 243.
I think we've got a shot at it. One thing before that caution flag.
And trouble on the front stretch, in major trouble on the front stretch between Chuck Bound and Dave Rezendes.
Mark, I was looking right at that and couldn't believe what I saw. They were both slowed down. They had taken the caution flag. They came together, and it spun both cars. Again, it's attributed to just how slick this racing surface is.
And I hope there is nothing secret on the right front portion of Chuck Bound's car, because all the sheet metal is gone. It has exposed all the suspension parts on that Pontiac.
When he went by, we saw some smoke. Yeah. That sheet metal, you see Bound and Rezendes getting together. Rezendes was in front of Bound. And Rezendes comes to stop on the inside retaining wall, Bound to the outside. A little pirouette, a little ballet here on the front stretch.
And Chuck Bound is on pit road now. Obviously, after that incident, that was significant enough contact where he's got to come to the service of Jeff Hensley-led crew.
You have to kind of speculate, Mark, that after they had taken the caution, if maybe Rezendes didn't slow down a little quicker than what Bound thought he would, and Chuck bumped him in the back. It looks like we've got some problems there. It looks like water coming out of that thing.
Hubert Hensley, the car owner, threw some water in there to try to cool that race car down. And NASCAR officials are going to hold Bound there on pit road. He's going to lose a lap.
There is a mark on the outside wall where the pace car is, and you might explain how that works, Glenn Jarrett, because that helps the NASCAR officials on pit road to keep an unsafe condition from occurring.
Well, that unsafe condition being that if a car like Chuck Bound trying to rush out of the pits and the field is coming down under caution to take to take their position on the track, and you got a guy come flying out of the pits, so they use that mark. Once the caution car passes that mark, they hold all cars in the pits until the field passes by.
And Dave Rezendes' crew are having to work on that Oldsmobile. There aren't going to be very many cars left in this racetrack. That I'll tell you, I'd like to have the scrap metal concession on this event when it's over.
They may be giving Chuck Bound a penalty. They're still holding him on pit road.
And in the replay, that's what precipitated the original caution. That's Ed Ferree, the rookie out of Pennsylvania, sliding out of the groove. And as we've seen so many times, you get a half a lane out of the groove and you're gone.
He started from the bottom of the racetrack. He got up he got the right side tires out of the groove, and the car went straight to the wall like he wasn't even steering it. Believe me, folks, he was trying to turn it left.
And the field reforms for the restart. And as we've said before, how long will it stay green? Jeff Burton on the bottom side of the racetrack, Jack Ingram on the top side trying to unlap himself. This ought to be a dandy battle. The field manages for a change to sort itself out without incident. Jeff Burton now is trying to put some distance between himself and the second-place car of Ed Barrier, and that's an excellent roadblock between the two because Jack Ingram can make his race car mighty wide when he wants to.
Yeah, right now he's doing his best to get by leader Jeff Burton because that Jack is only down one lap, and that will put him back into the lead lap. And there is a caution flag again.
Bingo, we have tied the record, ladies and gentlemen. 18 caution flags in this afternoon's event. That is Bobby Moon, a driver who's making his first Grand National start today for the 1991 season. Here's a replay on what happened.
He just simply went into the turn too high, got up in the marbles, and smacked the wall pretty good. You see it there. Folks, we can't stress enough at how slick it is once you get out of that groove. He was out of the groove entering the turn. The car never even tried to turn, just went straight to the wall. You see how flat that it made the right side of the car now. He took a pretty good lick.
And folks, we don't mean to make light of the fact that there have been a number of cautions, but we anticipated that this was going to happen today with a brand new racetrack and really conditions that were ideal for a number of incidents, and the drivers have just had a vicious time today driving right on the ragged edge.
Speaking of vicious, you're about to see a vicious impact in turn 1 here at South Boston. There's Moon's car, the far right of the screen, just rips the concrete retaining wall, an angle shot very similar to Gary Neese's, and the safety crews now going to the attention of Spout Spring, Virginia driver Bobby Moon, who's a sophomore on this series, the rookie contender last year. Due to finances, hasn't been able to run very many events this year. As a matter of fact, I believe this is his very first race in the series in 1991. Awful tough way for him to end it.
That's Dave Resendi's car on pit road as they continue to remove weight from that machine. And pretty much the front end looks very much like Kenny Wallace's car and Tommy Houston's car and Chuck Bowen's car. We take any number of cars that look just exactly like that. From that camera angle, it'd be mighty tough to tell which car that is, except for the color of the machine.
The crowd certainly likes it. They're jumping up and down. Say, hey, how about 2 or 3 more of those cautions before we finish this thing? Jeff Burton, of course, in the lead, says, look, let's go clean and green. I think I can win this thing.
Well, does that really play, though, into Jeff Burton's hand? Once again, not abusing tires that we, according to our records, we have not seen him change the entire race.
Oh, absolutely. The more laps that he can run under caution mark, the better off that he's going to be. He's played his hand right now. He will not come in for tires. And thus far, nobody's been able to mount a challenge. Chuck Bowen had on fresh tires and might have been able to get him, and he was involved in that incident and was penalized a couple of laps. He's now 2 laps down. And he's already shown that he can run off the lead-in barrier at will once the restart of the race is underway. And so right now, there's nobody to challenge Burke.
Unofficially, we show that as the 18th caution. That ties a Busch Grand National record. We'll be back to see if we can wrap up this event sometime today in just a moment from South Boston, Virginia. You're watching TNN coverage of the Busch Grand National Series.
Competition? Yeah, we got a bunch. But we've been in business for 76 years, and we intend to be in business for at least 76 more. If that means change, we change. We have even increased our commitment to service. Today, every single Rossi store associate is personally rewarded for providing you great service. Take a new look. Give them a try. We are all totally committed to doing whatever it takes to satisfy you. That's a promise.
I could spend all day here. Wouldn't leave much time to fish.
Don't you have enough lures?
You never have enough lures. Look at the price on this rod. Well, don't let that one get away. We need headlights. We need a car stereo.
They have really great sales here. Come to Kmart for Zebco Bullet Spin Cast Reels, the world's most castable. On sale.
Do I know where the deals are? Deals, yes. Fish, no.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240-card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
In my considered opinion, it's okay to enjoy mowing one's lawn. Oh, for heaven's sake. In fact, my snapper significantly enhances my sense of well-being. Of course, my snapper dealer was kind enough to offer a 14-day money-back test drive. The good man really stands behind his machines. So if you're looking for emotional satisfaction, my advice to you is seek professional help. That's right. See your snapper dealer. Anything less just won't cut it.
Back here at South Boston, Virginia, at the South Boston Speedway, we'll be under caution here for a little while, as we're happy to report that Bobby Moon, who took a pretty good lick over there in turn 2, is conscious, was carried from the car. According to one of his crewmen on pit road, said he had his bell rung pretty good. Now, they will take him from the track for medical attention, but while that's going on, we will need to wait for another rescue vehicle, another ambulance to come to the Speedway, so we'll be under caution for a few more laps. Now, Kenny Wallace is the Busch Grand National points leader. There is an interesting statistical comparison between the completion of 9 races last year and the first 9 races in 1991, and it will give you some sense of why Kenny Wallace is your Grand National points leader. He has improved 145 points from last year at this time, while Bobby Labonte and Jimmy Hensley, who after 9 races last year were tied for the Grand National lead. Now you see Labonte is fallen off a little bit in 1991, and actually, the graphic information there is not quite correct. It really, Bobby Labonte had 12.99. Those two were tied. So there was a little bit of fall off for Bobby Labonte. Hensley dropped off a good bit, but the Grand National champion, Chuck Bound, has fallen way off the pace.
He certainly has. At this point last year, he's making a move for the top spot and is now over 200 points behind the pace he set last year. Speaking of points, for the top 10-point drivers coming into this race, only one, Joe Nemechek, has had a relatively safe afternoon to this particular point. Everybody else has had trouble. Kenny Wallace, Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Hensley, Todd Bodine, Tommy Houston, Chuck Bound late in this event, Tom Peck, Butch Miller, Robert Presley, all have had major problems except Joe Nemechek.
Well, let's check in with a man who's had a front row seat to all sorts of excitement on pit road, Bill Hennessy.
A lot of activity here on the pit lane has been mostly everybody coming in to have sheet metal removed from their race cars. Several folks have told me that they're a bit distressed about the shape of the racing surface here and the fact that we've ended up with so many cars in the wall. The other thing is, as far as Goodyear and Hoosier are concerned, they brought an excellent tire to the racetrack. Their tires have been punctured by the tiny pebbles, which have worked themselves out of the asphalt and embedded themselves in the tire to basically deflate them. The Joe Nemechek crew, at one occasion, have already changed through all 4 quarters of their car's tires. And they say now we're working on set number 3. Hopefully they can make it the distance. Hoosier says their hopes are presently lying with Bobby Diner and, of course, the car driven by Butch Miller. Of course, the Goodyear cars are the rest of the field.
We go from NASCAR scoring that there have been 19 cautions. That breaks the record.
I knew they could do it.
Yeah, well,
I had hopes for them at Hickory.
Yeah, we had a feeling in the early portion of this race as we watched them skate around this racetrack, they're having a lot of trouble. And in all fairness to the officials here at the racetrack, some of these cautions have had little to do with the track. They've had more to do with drivers getting in each other's way.
Well, that's certainly true, Mark, but the drivers are going to turn right around and say, hey, it wasn't my fault. I couldn't drive on that racetrack surface like that. Look at the ruts coming off or into the track coming off of turn 3 or into turn 3. That's just simply caused by the sheer power and force of these cars. As they accelerate off the turn, it just eats up that asphalt.
Plus, they got a lot of sunshine on that particular part of the racetrack today. Again, the track officials made a move to improve their speedway, and you see around the groove, it's almost billiard table smooth. They really did a great job in paving the racetrack, but when you have these combinations of heat, the track not having enough time to cure, these big, heavy race cars, you've got a problem.
That's the key phrase right there. The track just simply didn't have enough time to cure. Once they repave and patch these areas right now and they run the weekly stock car shows on it, they're not heavy enough or powerful enough to do that. But the next time the cars come back here, this place should be in perfect condition.
And something we might mention, too, along the lines of the race surface itself. Now, we're entirely a V6 series now in Grand National competition. You say, well, V6, those aren't very powerful engines. Well, folks, they're still producing over 520 horsepower, and if the car is geared right, I mean, that's the real secret to short track racing, making sure you can get up off the corner the way you want to. Now, Jeff Burton has been able to do that the entire second half of the race. He's been able to get away on the restart, and we're going to take a look at Bill Hennessy, who's down on pit road with a story about our race leader.
Harold Bryan, you're the crew chief of the car that's leading at the present time. You've yet to bring him in for tires or fuel. What's your strategy now?
Well, we're going to try to go all the way because we've had 100 laps on the caution, and normally up here we run like a 200-lap race, and we figure we could run at least, 260 or 270 without any problem, so I think we'll be okay.
He stayed out of trouble so far. It's a pretty precarious situation out there, isn't it?
It sure is. Right now we're lucky. You don't know how long it'll hold out.
Back under green once again here at South Boston, Virginia, as Chuck Bound, the 63 car up there on the outside, tried to make a great run to get back up and around to unlap himself. He lost a lap from one of the earlier incidents when he was held on pit road, which we documented. A car up at the wall at the top of turn number 4 comes back down. Steve Grissom, there is no caution. He is back in the racing groove without further incident.
What a tough break for Jack Ingram to be down a lap. Ingram is the equal of Jeff Burton. He may be even a little bit better. Ingram now looks to the inside to go to turn 1. He's going to lean on Burton. He's back, I believe, on the lead lap. We had him only 1 lap down, so if he can get another quick caution, which isn't out of the question, the way this race has gone so far, Jack Ingram would be able to move right up to about the third or fourth running spot on the inside lane.
That's a good point, Mark. And I certainly want to commend both drivers that time. Ingram made a great move in getting by him, but Jeff Burton even did a greater job in getting through that corner in the outside groove without losing control.
Now, Jack Ingram is back on the tail end of the lead lap unofficially, according to NASCAR scoring. He is one of only 5 cars in that position. Race leader Jeff Burton is car number 99. The 33 car you see in the screen, there is second place Ed Barrier. Then Bobby Donner having by far and away his best run of the year, Joe Nemechek. And then Jack Ingram, your top 5.
Jack Ingram is just praying for a yellow flag. Glad Jarrett, he's just pulling away from the race leader like Jeff Burton wasn't even there.
And he gave him a little bit of chrome horn there to move Chuck Bound out of position because he's got to close in on the race leader. That was Todd Bodine in the 34 car getting loose. And we got caution again up in turn number 2.
That
caution
is
on the Speedway.
That's Butch Miller's car, and we've got smoke from Jack Ingram just when he got the caution flag he needed. It looks like the engine is going sour, getting ready to blow in the Skoll Chevrolet. And the bad luck just continues to haunt Jack Ingram, and we'll have more from South Boston, Virginia, when we return for action in the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300.
From our nation's capital to scenic, peaceful shores, wherever the fish are biting, you'll find the champ.
Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine, brought to you by Delco Voyager Marine Batteries. 1:30 Eastern Sports Sunday.
Homeowners, if you're tired of ordinary mowers that blow clippings everywhere and clumsy bagging mowers that need constant emptying, here's great news. It's the breakthrough mulching mower from Troy-Bilt, a revolutionary new kind of mower that ends bagging and raking forever. The Troy-Bilt mulcher has no discharge chute to spray clippings, no awkward bag to fill up and clog with grass. In fact, the mulching mower doesn't leave clippings at all. Whether you're cutting your lawn or mulching a blanket of fall leaves, the revolutionary blade and deck design vacuums clippings up to be cut and recut into tiny nitrogen-rich particles. 100% natural free fertilizer that's recycled directly into your lawn. The results are remarkable. A beautiful, super healthy lawn with less time and less work than ever before. For full details on the revolutionary Troy-Bilt mulching mower, call toll-free 1-800-638-9898. We'll send you a free Troy-Bilt mulching mower catalog by return first-class mail. So call 1-800-638-9898 now.
24 laps remain in the wildest Grand National race of 1991 without question. Race leader Jeff Burton is trying to extend his margin as we're back under green with Ed Barrier trying to desperately to get around the multi-lapped car. Many laps down of Busch Grand National points leader Kenny Wallace. If he can do that, he may be able to take a shot at the leader, but he has had lap traffic between him and Burton throughout most of the second half of this race.
What a testament to the way they set up the Armour Chevrolet for Jeff Burton. They haven't changed tires. The car's been consistent all afternoon, and he's had a little bit of good luck in the fact he hasn't run any of those over those pebbles. As we see Joe Nemechek, Steve Grissom, and Chuck Bound scrambling in the back of the pack. Nemechek doesn't have a mark on his car, but he may as he keeps rubbing and jamming in the back of that pack. Also there, Tommy Houston, as Bound is on the inside of the racetrack, Grissom on the outside.
And Bill Hennessy is on pit road with the man who brought out the latest caution, Butch Miller.
Well, Butch Miller had a strong run. Butch Miller had a very strong run going in the early portion of this race. Looked like the strategy was going to play your way. What happened, Butch?
Well, I can't exactly hear you, but we were very proud of the way we were running. And then the driver made a boo-boo off of turn 4 and spun the car out. And then late in the race here, I think I broke a tie rod or something. I went into turn 1 and it wouldn't turn at all. Went straight ahead, hit the wall.
Well, there's always another race and another day. Butch Miller's always a tough competitor.
And at the top of the racetrack in turn 4, just coming into your screen, there is Jeff Gordon, who has apparently cut down a right front tire. There is no caution at this point as he is trying to keep that car under control and out of the way, and barely is able to do that. The yellow flag does not come out as he makes a veteran move and gets the car up to the top of the racetrack.
He'll have some clear room once these cars get by him here to get the car down and get it into the pits and out of harm's way.
Race leader Jeff Burton is going for his second career Busch Grand National victory. As you see Gordon coming onto pit road, it has been a very long day for that Pittsburgh, Indiana driver. Burton won the fall race in Martinsville, Virginia, the September event last year.
going for victory number 2. This would be especially sweet before his hometown fans here in South Boston. This is where he cut his teeth in Grand National competition. And with Richard Lassiter moving out of the way, that removes one of the potential minefields. As you see back in the pack, cars are just desperately fighting, Glenn, to stay under control.
Well, that's a terrific battle right there, according to the scoring that we've got right now between Ed Barrier and Joe Nemechek for position. Jeff Burton has things pretty much his own way, but those guys back there are really mixing it up. And you see Todd Bodine there get under Kenny Wallace to take the track position away from him. But again, Jeff Burton is out front and has clear sailing right now.
Todd Bodine's car not showing a whole lot of wear and tear on the afternoon. He just had a problem with a flat tire, and I believe he might have lost one, perhaps just 2 laps. Because of that, he came on pit road, changed tires, and they got an immediate yellow flag that froze him in place.
Yeah, he's dropped down to the inside of the racetrack now. He's had a problem of some sort because he dropped off the pace just a little. You can see 31 Steve Grissom moved back by him, so evidently there was some sort of momentary problem on Bodine's car. Maybe just got it out of shape.
And while we're looking at our race leader, the battle for second is really heating up now as Bobby Dotter has moved into the picture. There are 3 white cars in the battle. You see Dotter has gotten by Nemechek moments ago. Nemechek comes back at him. That's the battle for third.
He got into the inside of that turn so hard, getting underneath Nemechek, got on the marble, slid back up. Here they are, locked side by side again.
10 laps to go, 10 laps remaining. We may be able to get this race done yet.
That's a terrific battle for second place right there. Those guys are really going at it. Remember, they're on worn tires on a slick racetrack, and they're tired, they're hot, and they all want to finish second if they can't win.
And while there's that dogfight for second, that has allowed Jeff Burton to pull off to a 3.5-second lead. If it stays green, which is what he needs most right now, he will certainly pull away to victory, but he is getting a strong battle for Steve Grissom, who once again is trying to lap him. So that is a wonderful battle for second place. Barrier has had no serious competition for that position for most of the second half of this race, but he's getting it now from Nemechek.
And Nemechek dives right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Car's really hooked up down there. He drives right by Ed Barrier like he was sitting still. No contact, a clean pass, and a very good move by Nemechek.
Nemechek has had one of those silent but deadly afternoons. He hasn't made a lot of noise, but when you look up at the scoreboard, you look at the final rundown, there he is. He came into this race 5th in points. He may move up with a runner-up finish today.
Yeah, you can see Barrier's car number 33. They're getting extremely loose. I don't believe that he has changed tires and stopped for gas either, and his tires are completely shot. We got a smoker now down in turn 1. Looks like Chuck Bound blowing some smoke out.
This is a battle now for third position with just 5 laps remaining. Bobby Dotter trying to improve his position for his best Grand National career finish ever. But our race leader up front can't relax at all because Steve Grissom has been desperately trying to get himself unlapped. Now you see Dotter trying to get underneath Ed Barrier. He tried that the last time around. He's almost taken it down to the grass several times. He is now underneath. The question is, can he hold it or will he crack the throttle?
Yeah, Dotter's car is going into the turns a little better, but Barrier's car accelerates off the turns a little quicker. That's a heck of a race right now.
3 laps remaining, just 3 laps for race leader Jeff Burton, while the battle for third on the Speedway is still the most exciting action in a race that has been extremely exciting for a number of reasons. 2 laps now, as now we've got Dotter making that move. Can he make it stick? He does.
Dotter drove the car completely down on the entrance to pit road to get up underneath him right there.
White flag lap, 1 lap to go for Jeff Burton.
Burton looking for his first win of 1991, second on his career.
And there is our race leader coming off turn 4 and wins the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300 before his hometown fans. Second place goes in convincing fashion to Joe Nemechek as we have it, and third,
Ed Barrier by about 2 feet at the finish line from the outside groove. He was able to beat back the challenge of Bobby Dotter. Great driving on old tires.
Tremendous job of Ed Barrier there. I was going to say he beat him by a nose, but if it was 2 feet, then the only people...
That's the size of my nose.
My nose is 2 feet long, so... But great job. That was a terrific battle. Last 10 laps. Remember, again, they were on worn tires late in the race. Good job by both guys. Very clean battle.
And the victor, maybe more appropriately, the survivor of today's 300-lap war here at South Boston, Virginia, Jeff Burton, 23 years old, picks up his second Grand National victory, a race that will be remembered for a long time for a record number of cautions. 20 times the yellow waved here, but 21 cars, believe it or not, were still running at the finish.
Is this record going to be kind of like Roger Maris's record? Because there were 100 more laps here today to set that record in, so we need to put an asterisk by that record.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn.
Well, let's go down to a very happy winner's circle with Bill Hennessy, who has the race winners standing by.
Well, our congratulations to Jeff Burton. Hey, you did it before the hometown gang. Win number 2.
Sure feels good. You know, this crew's been working hard. They've gave me a great race car. I ran out of power steering there about 100 laps ago. My little arm was hurt. I'm not a real big guy. I had to do it with my little arms. It all goes to these guys right here. They worked so hard on this car and got it where it is.
A tough race for you. How did you manage to stay out of all the trouble all day long and worried about that asphalt?
Well, it was a lot of racing luck. You know, things happened in front of me that I was able to dodge. Sometimes things happen for you, sometimes they happen against you. Today it went for us.
Did you have a good feeling about this one coming into it?
Well, I felt real good about the car and about the crew, and the motor program is super with Ron Hutter. And I knew we had a good team, but with the racetrack like it was, I didn't know what we were up against. So, you know, you just never know what's going to happen in this sport.
You sure had a lot of folks up there in the grandstand standing on their feet, wanting you to come take that checkered flag.
Well, it feels really good to win the first one. You know, this is my first Busch race win at home, and this is a dream come true.
Congratulations from everyone at the Nashville Network.
He says his arms are tired. What about flagman Mike Harwood with those 20 cautions? Let's show you the top 5 unofficially as we have it here from the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300. Jeff Burton, his second career Grand National victory. Joe Nemechek, his best career finish in his second year in the series. Also a career best for Ed Barrier in third. Bobby Dotter, a sensational finish. Also a career best for him. Steve Grissom, his third consecutive top 5 here at South Boston dating back a year and a half. We'll be back to wrap things up here from South Boston, Virginia, in just a moment. Today's coverage of the Carquest Auto Parts Stores 300 has been brought to you by New Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. By Eagle One Car Care Products. Eagle One is visual perfection. By Champion Batteries, when you can't wait to get started. By Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste, so get out of the old, get into the cold. And by Carquest Auto Parts Stores. You'll find it at Carquest.
In America, your car is not just something you own. It's a part of your life. To give your car complete protection, Haviland is introducing new Haviland Formula 3 motor oil with not one but 3 kinds of protection against heat stress, starting friction, and engine dirt. New Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Cold filtering. It's our commitment to everyone who knows that draft beer is real beer. Pure beer, the best beer. It's how we make Miller Genuine Draft, and it's why so many people can enjoy a beer whose taste hasn't been changed by heat pasteurization, and why so many people are making a change of their own. Get out of the old and get into the cold.
They're already collector's items. Do you have yours? Max Race Cards, featuring all your favorite NASCAR stars, the great moments, the men behind the scenes. Great to collect or trade. 1991 sets are here, and when they're gone, there won't be any more. This handsome 240-card set is only $33. For more details or to order, call 1-800-521-8867. That's 1-800-521-8867. Sets are going fast. Order your Max Race Cards now.
Chocolate is sweetest when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch Crunches.
From our nation's capital to scenic, peaceful shores, wherever the fish are biting, you'll find the champ.
Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine, brought to you by Ranger Boats, 1:30 Eastern Sports Sunday.
Jeff Burton, the happy winner here at South Boston. It should come as no surprise that his crew chief has been named our Miller Pit Crew of the race. He will be receiving that award down on pit road right now with Bill Hennessy.
Kirk Bryant, congratulations on your win here at South Boston, Virginia, and of course Jeff's hometown. The folks at Miller Genuine Draft Beer want us to present this to you. You've been chosen as the crew chief of the race, and boy, your driver sure listened to what you had to say and came home a winner.
Yeah, he came home. He drove a good, smooth race, and we really appreciate Miller's participation in this, and we'll take it home and be proud of it.
What does the rest of the season look like for Darrell O'Brien and his team?
Well, we're a new team this year. We're rebuilding a team, and we've come a long way in the last 3 or 4 months, and we have 2 poles so far this year, and this is our first win. Hopefully we can get a couple, 3 more wins before the season's out.
Well, congratulations from everyone at Miller Genuine Draft and the folks from the Nashville Network.
Thank you, and thank Miller.
Let's go ahead and give you the unofficial top 10 rundown as we have it. Of course, Jeff Burton, the South Boston, Virginia driver, the victor. Joe Nemechek second. Ed Barrier, Bobby Dotter, and Steve Grissom top 5. Those are the cars on the lead lap. Then 6th, we have Bobby Labonte, then Elton Sawyer, one of his better runs of the year. Dave Rezendes, who came back from a number of problems. Tom Pex, whose car was battered and bruised, came home, as did Todd Bodine. Congratulations to anybody who finished this race with any semblance of a race car. If you're wondering, of course, the 20 cautions is a new Grand National record. And unofficially, we have 92 laps of caution. That is also a new Grand National record. Our thanks to Mark Garrow, Glenn Jarrett, and Bill Hennessy and Pit Road. I'm Mark Allen. Thanks so much for watching this afternoon. Just a reminder that TNN's live coverage of Busch Grand National Racing will continue next weekend from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. We'll have a doubleheader for you, the NASCAR Winston Modifieds, as well as the Busch Grand National Tour and the Pennsylvania International Raceway. Roger Penske's 1 mile facility. Coverage starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to join us for that.